And we are live here on the Voices of Wrestling Flagship Podcast. I'm Rich, alongside, as always, the king of banter, Mr. Joe Lanta. Joe, what's happening?
Merry Christmas!
Yes, it feels like I just talked to you 3 days ago, and then 4 days ago before that, and I've talked to you a lot this weekend. I've talked to a lot of people this weekend, but I'm glad to be doing this early flagship edition here on a Tuesday because we are not recording on Christmas Eve this year, or any year. I don't think we've ever recorded on Christmas Eve or day, right? Never been insane like that. We're not wild here, but yeah, no, Merry Christmas to you as well.
The live listeners are getting the show on Tuesday,
right? Yes, because we are
$10 subscribers are getting the show on Tuesday. Everybody else hearing this is getting the show on Christmas or Christmas Eve.
I think what would it be? Thursday? I've lost track of what day anything is these days.
Thursday is Christmas Eve, so they're getting it Christmas Eve.
Yes, they'll get a Christmas Eve. Yeah, maybe Christmas Eve morning, Christmas Eve afternoon, sometime around there. We'll drop it for you. So
happy Hanukkah.
I think it's over.
It's
Hanukkah's
over.
Yeah.
Happy belated Hanukkah.
Belated Hanukkah. Yeah, Diwali's over as well. I know you're a big Diwali fan.
Kwanzaa is not over. Kwanzaa is the 26th.
Correct. Yeah, as well as Boxing Day as well. So we'll do a special Boxing Day show as well immediately after Christmas. So.
I love hitting all the holidays. We did this many years ago on this show. I like hitting them all. You know? Yeah,
that's when you buried, what was it, buried Three Kings Day or something like that?
I didn't bury any of them.
I think you buried Three Kings Day. But...
Oh, we didn't. I included Three Kings Day, and you didn't know what it was. And then we had a whole thing where, we were both looking up Three Kings Day for the next half hour.
Got it. But, okay, I wasn't sure if it was a burial or you were... Yeah, okay, yeah, no, I do remember that now. I had no idea what it was, and you explained to me what it was. And I learned something that day, so that's always, that's always a positive, too.
My gimmick is no happy holidays. Just name the specific holidays.
Yeah, just name them all. Yeah, what you should do is when you try to say something like that, you should just name like 7 different holidays to people. And one of them will be what they celebrate, and they'll go, oh, thank you. You know what I mean? So you rattle them all off.
All right, forget the shorthand. Just be like, Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Three Kings Day. What were those other dopey ones you said?
Three Kings Day, Diwali for the...
Never heard of that, but Happy Diwali. And what's the other? Oh, Boxing Day. That's some kind of Canadian thing, right?
It's like a Canadian. Yeah, we don't have to really acknowledge.
Is that an end of the year gift celebration?
Yeah, if I remember correctly, the history of Boxing Day. It's not maybe the nicest thing, but I believe it was the day when the poor or the folks that worked for you, but maybe you didn't pay them, would then get their day where they would get gifts, and they got a day off where they didn't have to work. So I think that's the history of Boxing Day. I don't know if I'm entirely correct about that, but I'm almost positive that is what it is. So
I have a feeling a lot of people hate that one.
I could be wrong. You know what I mean? Like, because I think people like it. I mean, like, cool, like places that I know do celebrate Boxing Day. So I don't know. Maybe it isn't as terrible as I think it was. Maybe it didn't start terrible, but it became terrible type thing. And maybe we've taken it back. I honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know enough about Boxing Day to really continue talking about Boxing Day. So
you sound like you're talking out of your ass. I mean,
I thought that's what it was, and now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, just in case. Like, I don't know if that's actually what it is. So
sounds like you know very little about Boxing Day, and you're filling in blanks, and now you're tugging your collar because you feel because you're not confident in the blanks you're filling.
Correct.
That's what this feels
Festivus. Like. Festivus is what, tomorrow, right? The Seinfeld.
People are really doing Festivus. Yeah, they're really doing that. Then yeah, I think that's tomorrow, right?
Yeah, 23rd.
Christmas Eve.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. No. Exactly. Yeah.
You know who's doing Festivus? I guarantee it. Mikey Falcone.
He does every year, right?
I guarantee he's doing it. Guarantee. Probably RJ City too. He probably does Festivus. These big TV guys are into that. What else? The $10 list. In addition to hearing this live on Tuesday, Rich, the $10 subscribers also have an opportunity to call in on today's show, which we've only done one other time in the history of the flagship. Do you remember the other time that we did call-ins?
I do. I was actually remembering it this morning as I was kind of getting stuff set up for the call-ins. It was either our 100th show or our something anniversary show, and we decided it was an absolute unmitigated disaster because we were recording on Skype at that time. And essentially, we just gave people this Skype number and said, call whenever you want. All right, call and we'll put you on. And all that happened is the entire time we just got 15 calls I couldn't even concentrate for a second during the show because as it's going on, there's just calls coming in. I'm no idea who they are. There's random area codes being thrown at me, unknown callers, random cities, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? It was an absolute disaster, and it was a terrible show, just an awful show, like one of the worst ones we've ever done. And it actually got all resurrected at the end when Yatsume, remember Yatsume?
I do.
He called in. We hadn't heard. He had gone dark for a while. If people don't remember Yatsume, best way to. I actually don't know what happened to Yatsume. I hope he's okay. More than anything, but he was an early flagship fan and an early kind of New Japan America guy as well. So he was in Japan, but what he would do is if you wanted to order any New Japan merchandise, he would kind of be the liaison. He would say, "Hey, here's what they have. If you want to order anything, just let me know, and I'll do it." So he would do that. He would translate promos. He would translate the website. Back when New Japan really wasn't reaching out to the American fan base or the Western fans at all. They were not doing anything for the English-speaking fans for the most part. So Yatsume was like one of the first ones. He was like the early, not totally different than what Jay was doing for Dragongate, but we always kind of thought that he had a little bit more of a connection to New Japan than he actually did. And then I think one time he tweeted out that, hey, I can't sell merchandise anymore. They now know, so I have to go away now. And then he just disappeared for like 6 months. He appeared on our call-in show, called and said, yeah, I'm good. I'm doing okay. And it was like the most amazing moment. Just a random call from a guy in Japan, telling us, yeah, I'm okay. I'm fine. Never heard from him again. No idea what happened to him after that. So
he also, in addition to helping people buy New Japan merch.
I have an Okada shirt from him, by the way, too. I have an Okada shirt and a hoodie from Yatsume.
Yeah, because it wasn't like now where you have what do they call it? The Tokon Global Shop.
Yeah, the Tokon Global Shop and all that. Well,
there's none of that. This was like when people first started discovering New Japan in the West on a widespread basis and difficult to navigate the Japanese sites. So this guy, because he spoke English, would help him, for a little taste, of course. He wasn't doing it out of kindness of his heart. So for a little markup, a little taste, he would get you the New Japan merch. The other thing he was doing was he was one of the very early New Japan translators. Yep. He would translate the promos and he would translate things while live tweeting the show. So you're on Twitter, you're watching the show on Ustream or whatever the case may be. This was before New Japan World. There'd be a promo going. He was a vital follow because he would translate all of the promos and all of the post-match promos and things like that the next day. So he became a very popular figure on Twitter. What happened was, I think he got overwhelmed with merchandise orders, and I think it just overwhelmed him, and he just fucking disappeared off the planet. I haven't heard a trace from that guy in probably 6 years now.
It's got to be around there. It's got to be, it's got to be 5 or 6 at the absolute. I mean, and like I said before, he called in on the show. He had gone dark for like a year or like 6 months or something like that, and obviously he was still listening and still kind of aware of what was going on because he called in and was like, hey, guys, I love you guys. Thanks for keep doing the great work. We're like, oh my God, Yatsume, like, what's up, man? How are you? And he was like, yeah, I'm good. I'm all right. And then like dark, just never heard from the guy ever again. He might still listen. I have no earthly idea. I know a lot of people went wild with rumors that like the Yakuza got him, or Kojima maybe showed up at his house one day and did like just crazy stuff like that. And like I mean I can't disprove that, but
now listen, they wouldn't send Kojima. You know who they'd send?
Tenzan? Oh, Hanma. Oh my God, yes, they'd send Hanma. Yeah,
send Hanma. That's the Yakuza voice, connection there.
Yeah.
He's the guy. But yeah, no, the guy disappeared. I think he just got overwhelmed, and who knows? He probably rebranded under another handle and is listening right now, for all we know. And I just think it got too much for him because when he started that little project of helping people get the merch, I mean, it wasn't New Japan blew up shortly thereafter. So I think the guy just got flooded. I know a lot of people had to put in PayPal claims to get their money back. The last few people who ordered, after he disappeared, they never got their merch.
Right.
So, but I think a lot of those people did get their money back. All that had to put in claims or whatnot. But at any rate, he was on our first call-in show, which was a worked 100th show. It wasn't really the 100th show because we didn't know how many shows we had done.
We still barely know.
We don't know, but we knew it was around 100. And we were looking for a hook, do a show that was going to draw some more downloads. So always the workers we decided, all right, let's just say the next one is the 100th show. We'll take some calls, and we'll try to pop a number here. So that was the mindset behind that. It was like, maybe the 100th show. We don't know. We're not sure. And we took calls, and like Rich said, he was like one of those 1950s telephone board operator
at AT&T.
He couldn't keep up with it all. And, it was basically just people calling up and kissing our asses. It was tremendous. Oh, congratulations on the 100 shows. You guys are phenomenal. And it was basically just like a Rich and Joe wank-off session. So, no, I had a joke to make there, but it's not the third hour yet.
Yeah, let's wait a little bit before you make that joke.
But yeah, so we'll take – now listen, Rich has been taking calls behind the paywall for some time. Okay, we've been workshopping this. Rich knows what he's doing. This is the first time we'll take calls on the actual flagship since that 100th episode, quote unquote, 100th episode extravaganza we did, probably like 2014 or 15 or something like that. This was many years ago now. We're grizzled veterans of this game, Rich. We have been doing this a very long time. I know that makes you depressed, but next year is 2021, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what that means? The year after that is
I know.
The 10-year anniversary
God.
of this show. A decade, a solid decade of this show. So we need to start planning now what we're going to do that first show in February of 2022, because our first show was February of 2012, and figure out what kind of show we're going to do on that day. But we got a year to figure it out. Today's show, Rich, we've got tables, ladders, and chairs. Shockingly, pretty good show. We've got Dragongate Final Gate. We've got Ring of Honor Final Battle. A lot of finals. There's a lot of finals going on.
A finality, a show of finality, no doubt.
Speaking of finality, the deaths of Zeus and Kevin Green.
Jesus Christ. Good Lord.
Both faced their final battle over the last week or so. No cause of death on Kevin Green yet. 58 years old.
I don't love it. Yeah, I don't love that we haven't. Yeah, that's never a good sign when they say Kevin Green, 58, dead. And you're like, oh.
I got a million Kevin Green. Now, he's been out there and active. He does charity stuff, and he was a coach last year for the Jets. And that staff gets turned over seemingly every year. He was a Super Bowl winning coach with the Packers a few years before that. So he's out there. He's got elected to the Hall of Fame in 2016, Pro Football Hall of Fame, one of the greatest pass rushers in the history of the NFL. Between Rams, Steelers, Panthers, and 1 year there with the 49ers. And then, of course, one of these guys who we've spoken about over the years, who took to wrestling like a natural when he was given a chance to do it in WCW. But I have so many memories of Kevin Green because, of course, he started his career with the Rams, with the Los Angeles Rams, before the St. Louis Rams, before the return to Los Angeles, the original Los Angeles Rams. Drafted in 85, became a starter in 88, and I have vivid memories of that final regular season game in 1988, Sunday Night Football, against the 49ers, who had already clinched the division, but needed the game to make the playoffs. If the Rams beat the Niners, final game of the regular season, Sunday Night Football, they go to the playoffs. If they lose, the Giants go to the playoffs. And I lived in New Jersey at the time. All my friends were Giant fans. So I'm watching this game. Kevin Green, 3 sacks in the first quarter, 4.5 sacks in the game. He was destroying the 49ers offensive line so bad that the Niners pulled all their starters at the end of the first quarter, and the Rams rolled. I think they won the game like 38-20 or something like that. Got that final playoff spot. And the Giant fans and the Giants themselves were irate that the 49ers threw in the towel, but you couldn't blame them. This guy was unblockable. He was going to murder Joe Montana if they didn't pull him from the game. And it's not like Steve Young coming into the game is that much of a drop-off. So what is this, 32 years later? When was 1988? 32 years ago, right?
Yeah.
So 32 years later, I don't want to hear a word from you Giant fans, okay? Listen, beat their ass in the first quarter to the point that they pulled their starters. Okay, that's how that game. Guy had 3 sacks in the first quarter, but that was Kevin Green's best game as a Ram. I'll never forget it. They were a very good team in 88 and 89. Kevin Green was the best player on that defense. That was the Jim Everett, Henry Ellard, Flipper Anderson Rams. You might be a little young to remember those teams, Rich.
And I'm not somebody who's ever really gone back and watched a ton of old football. Like, what I'll do is I'll watch like the NFL films, like Super Bowl films or whatnot. So I know like the top teams, I know the top players, but yeah, I do not remember that team. And obviously I was 1 year old, so I wasn't actively watching them or whatever. But yeah, no, I know the names. I know the names, of course, and I know obviously the histories behind them. But I mean, really, my Kevin Green that I remember mostly was with the Steelers, and I was a big Pittsburgh Steelers fan growing up. Don't ask me why. I have no idea why. Maybe the Cordell. I always loved Cordell Stewart, so maybe it was a Cordell Stewart thing. But I don't even know if he was there then. So maybe I even liked Pittsburgh before he even went there. But I remember even then he was like, we're talking, 94, 95, that era. He's 33 years old, 32 years old, and he's still like leading the league in sacks, and he's still like unblockable. He's just an absolute beast of a man. And if I remember correctly, until like his final year, with I think Carolina, right? He was still like really good, like really, really good. And then just like, I don't know if it was just, he was just kind of done with it or sore or whatever. But like, if I remember correctly, like even his final year in Carolina, he was still damn good. He was still a really, really good player until the final days.
Oh, Kevin Green holds the all-time record, I believe, for double-digit sack seasons past the age of 34. So, he went from Pittsburgh, he went to Carolina for 1 year, then to San Francisco for a year, and then back to Carolina to finish his career. And he had 12 sacks in 1999 with Carolina in his final season.
God damn. And he started in 85.
85. These are his final 4 seasons after he left Pittsburgh. 3 with Carolina, 1 with the Niners. 14 and a half. These are all sack numbers. 14 and a half, which led the league. 10 and a half, 15 and 12.
God damn. That's a really good.
12 at the age of 37, started all 16 games. He had 3 fumble recoveries and a forced fumble that year. He could have continued playing. I'm sure his body was breaking down on him. The other thing about Kevin Green, 160 career sacks, 23 forced fumbles, 26 fumble recoveries, and 2 touchdowns as well. And 5 interceptions. As a pass rushing outside linebacker. This guy was a beast. Legitimately one of the greatest 3-4 outside pass rushing linebackers of all time, one of the greatest pass rushers of all time. And he played at the same time as Reggie White and Bruce Smith. So, and Lawrence Taylor. So it's very easy to kind of get lost in the shuffle when you're one of the greatest people of all time to do what you do, and there's 3 people playing at the same time who are somehow better than you. I mean, think about that. So he didn't always get the recognition that he maybe deserved, but at the end of the day, he did get elected to the Hall of Fame. I think it took way too long. I mean, he's the 3rd all-time leading sacker in the history of the NFL. I mean, and he retired in 99 and didn't end up in the Hall of Fame until 2016. I mean, that was a travesty. But at any rate, he finally got his recognition. Great player. I have great memories of him as a small child, like I just said, watching him play for the Rams. We knocked the Giants out in 88 by beating the Niners. And then, Rich, the next year in 89, the Rams played the Giants in the wild card game and beat them in overtime on a 48-yard Flipper Anderson touchdown catch. Okay, and on that touchdown play, that was in the Meadowlands, by the way, on the road. Anderson catches the touchdown in stride and keeps running through the end zone right into the tunnel all the way to Los Angeles in what was a pretty famous touchdown catch for the era.
Yes, oh yeah, I definitely remember seeing highlights of that one. It's awesome.
You remember the flipper catch?
Oh, of course, okay, yeah, just running and then everyone's he just runs through the tunnel and everyone kind of follows him, and it's nuts. Yeah, it's awesome.
He just didn't stop. He ran all the way back to LA. And so I went to school that. Now, remember, the Rams burned the Giants the year before. I'm living in New Jersey with a bunch of Giant fans. I go to school the next day. My Rams hat, my satin starter jacket, LA Rams. You remember those satin
of course.
starter jackets?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm all decked out. I'm trolling, and I nearly got jumped in the schoolyard. Here's a trolling these Giant fans. And I remember the teachers had to come and break it all up. So JL getting canceled at an early age.
Yeah, that's why we say you can't get canceled. You were everybody already hated you when you were 8. So it's like, what is it going to do to you now?
Never really stopped.
Yeah, right. Everybody still hates you, so it's fine.
Yeah, to be honest, it never stopped. But look, they got theirs. The Rams went to the NFC Championship game that year and lost like 49-3 to the 49ers. So that was a disaster. And then, they all shit on me for that. But those are my football memories of Kevin Green, who was a phenomenal player. Rich, talk about his WCW stuff a little bit.
Yeah, so for WCW, he made his debut. It was Great American Bash in '96. He teamed with Flair. He teamed with Steve Mongo McMichael, who was getting into wrestling at that time as well. Famed, defender from the Bears, and I think he did the Packers, and I forget what other teams he played for. I mean, most prominently I think for the Chicago Bears is what most people would at least remember him. And I can't escape him because he's on every fucking TV commercial, and he runs for city council and mayor and shit around here. You have no idea how much Steve McMichael, I've seen that guy. Like I get annoyed seeing Steve McMichael at places because he's been everywhere. I've every trade show, every fucking anything that you could possibly imagine. Steve McMichael's there with a booth, and there's a bunch of people waiting in line to get a picture with Steve McMichael. Still to this day, still in 2020. So, I think he was mayor of a local town here as well, which I don't think went well, but believe it or not, that Steve McMichael not maybe the best guy to be the mayor of your town. So, Great American Bash 96, he teams with Steve McMichael against Arn Anderson and Ric Flair, and it very similar to like Lawrence Taylor at WrestleMania, where it's, you see McMichael, and McMichael did not take to wrestling, like, I don't think as easily as some other guys. I mean, it was a little rough for him. So when he brings in...
You think?
Yeah, he did until the days that he finished. The best part about Steve McMichael, the best part about him is somewhere along the line, it's just perfectly WCW, they decided that guy should do pile drivers. They started having him do pile drivers. Like, no, just have him run into guys. Just do the tackle. Just do the fucking spear, the gore, whatever you want. That is his only move. That's all he needs to do, and we're good. But WCW decided, no, we need to have him get a little bit more tricky in the ring here. Let's try a pile driver, or hey, a shoulder breaker. That'll be great. That's not dangerous at all. So yeah, it's McMichael and Green against Arn Anderson and Ric Flair. And the real story was that Kevin Green was like really good, like really, really good to it. He took to it well. He cut great promos. He just seemed like a guy who clearly, not dissimilar to Pat McAfee as well. Like I think McAfee's obviously way, 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 way better than Kevin Green ever was. But I think what was evident about Kevin Green from the moment he came in is that the dude got wrestling. He understood wrestling. He understood the showmanship of wrestling, and he did a lot of that in the NFL as well. But he wasn't a guy that seemed like weirded out by it or, this is beneath me. He looked like a kid in a candy store. He was ready to go, ready to cut promos, and especially cutting promos alongside or next to someone like a Ric Flair. It was obvious that guy like absolutely loved what he jumping into the wrestling ring and doing that sort of stuff. So he was really good right out of the gates, like really, really good. That was it for 96. He then came back for Slamboree 97. He teamed with Ric Flair this time against Roddy Piper. Or it was Ric Flair, Roddy Piper, and Kevin Green versus the NWO. I don't remember that being quite as good, but I do still remember him being pretty solid. And then he worked a bunch of other times. Great American Bash 97, he actually faced Steve McMichael because Steve McMichael turned on him. He hit him with a briefcase. I think it was Deborah's briefcase or whatever the hell she was called at that time. I guess she was Deborah, right? Wasn't she Deborah? I forget what she was called at this time. But anyway, so Steve McMichael hits, Kevin Green over the head with a briefcase. They have that match. It's obviously not very good, but not really because of Kevin Green. And then he actually does two more matches as well, which, these are kind of the forgotten ones, I would say, because most people remember the Great American Bash 96, probably the most prominent one, because that's like the main event and a big deal. But 98, he actually came back as well. Faced the Giant on Nitro. There was a DQ. I forget exactly how the finish was. And then at Bash of the Beach.
Wasn't that DQ finish? Wasn't that to set up a pay-per-view match?
Exactly, yeah. And then at Bash of the Beach, like a few weeks later, it was the Giant versus Kevin Green, and the Giant beat Kevin Green there.
Oh, right.
But, I mean,
which is the right finish, obviously.
No, of course, yeah, of course. Yeah, that is absolutely the way to go. But his run was a lot of fun in WCW. Like I said, the promos are really cool. He's clearly just energized by being in wrestling, and honestly, literally, that Great American Bash 96 is a match that if you have never seen before, you should go check out, because I do put it in the pantheon of, whether you want to say a Pat McAfee or a Lawrence Taylor or those, a star or a celebrity who comes in and is just like pretty good, like way, way better than they probably have any right to be. And it's obviously an asset to be, a natural athlete the way that Kevin Green was. But he's a guy who got it from day one. And that is sometimes the biggest struggle when you bring in a celebrity or an athlete, is that they don't get what wrestling is. And Kevin Green absolutely got it.
D'Angelo Williams, another one.
Yeah, oh my God! I don't know how they didn't. How did they just let him do one match and then go away?
Well, he didn't want to do them.
Oh.
He made it clear that he was fulfilling a dream and he had no interest in doing it further. Because I'm positive they would have wanted him to do more. He was the best of all. I mean, he was just. Well, McAfee's up there too. I mean, I think McAfee probably matched D'Angelo Williams, and Kevin Green wasn't too far behind. I mean, like you said, also the way he just carried himself like a star and understood how a pro wrestler is supposed to behave. And not in an over-the-top way either. He wasn't playing a pro wrestler. He knew how to be a pro wrestler. And he did do a lot of those antics on the football field and on the sideline. He was known as a very energetic and, boisterous kind of player. So, but yeah, he was very good. I think I think he was with the Panthers at that point. Didn't he wear Panthers gear as well with the silver and the blue?
Yes. Yeah. I remember that. They were like little kind of half shorts or whatever, like little biker shorts or whatever. Yeah, and he always wore whatever his gear was always, aligning with the team that he was on at the time too, which is a nice touch.
Yeah. So, really good pro wrestler. Now that's the thing, wasn't he? Because what year he was active? He was active. It was an active pro football player when he was doing those matches, right? Because
yeah. I mean, we're talking June 96, May 97, June 97, June 98, July 98. Like this is like in the midst of his career and like, early training camp, or right before training camp, basically.
Played through 99. So, had he not still been a full-time football player, he may have taken this up. Who knows? Different times, too. I mean, there's no way a professional team would allow one of their active athletes wrestling now, right?
Oh, God, no. Yeah, no. Especially in today's, with athletes making as much money as they do and teams being so invested in every aspect of an athlete. I mean, we honestly, it seems like, 1997 doesn't feel like that long ago. But I mean, when you account for how much different athletes treat their bodies and how much different teams care about their athletes' bodies and maximizing their potential and maximizing their outputs or whatever. I mean, you got guys on sleep schedules and and mandatory naps and stuff. And these guys, I mean, Kevin Green ain't taking fucking a mandatory nap that you tell him to take. You know what I mean? We're still in the wild west of athletics. And yeah, that's few and far between. Yeah, that's few and far between these days. Now you have a few athletes that do that, and they're like the bad apples, and nobody really wants them anymore. And most other athletes are just meticulous about their craft and making sure that they're the best at whatever they do, and not necessarily fucking around with stuff like this. So
yeah, but that was Kevin Green. So and now I guess we need to talk about Zeus, another guy who only wrestled a small handful of matches and. He didn't come from the sports world. He came from the movie world. Of course, he did a Hogan movie. It's slipping my mind. No Holds Barred. Hulk Hogan in '89. And then, of course, McMahon came up with the idea of turning the heel in the movie into a heel in real life to the point that even heel promoter from the movie briefly became an on-screen character in WWF. So it was all very bizarre, melding of the film world and the wrestling world. And Zeus comes in and he teams with Randy Savage at SummerSlam '89 against Hogan and Beefcake. And look, the guy was huge. What was he, a legit 6'7", 6'8", tiny lister?
I would say, yeah. I mean, I know they put him on risers too to make him even that much bigger, but I mean, he was still a huge
6'5".
dude. Yeah, he is 6'5", and more than that, his girth and his weight was just gigantic. He was just huge man.
Huge
but
dude.
yeah, I forget the exact weight that he was, but I mean, he was built like a brick shit house, and yeah, legit 6'5", and I think they put him in risers to get him up at least taller than Hogan. That was one of the visual they wanted, is him being taller than Hogan to really put him as this insurmountable monster of, oh my God, how is Hulk Hogan gonna be able to he's taking down Andre, he's taking down this guy, but how is he going to take down Zeus? From No Holds Barred, no way. But they did it well. I mean, it was. I mean, I know the buy rate was pretty damn good for SummerSlam '89, and I remember it being a pretty cool story. Going back and rewatching some of it.
Yeah, he Tiny Lister did bit parts in the time. He was in Friday, I think.
Yeah. Oh no, definitely Friday.
Friday's the movie where he fights Ice-T, right?
Yes.
Ice Cube, right?
Ice Cube, yeah.
Yeah. So he was in Friday. A million other movies. You've probably seen him a million times. He's just an intimidating looking guy because he could cross his eyes, right? And he was always shaved bald, and he was 6'5" and jacked to the gills. So he always he was perfect for sort of a bully role or Those kind of
bouncer, a bouncer, a guy that's, if there's a drug dealer and he's got some muscle, it's probably Tiny Lister. If you watched a movie between 1988 and 2008 or whatever, 2010, 2011, I forget how long. I think he was still going until just a few years ago. If there was ever a drug dealer and he had some muscle with him, it was probably Tiny Lister. So.
Right. And so they did a whole program. I mean, it wasn't just a SummerSlam match. They brought him back for Survivor Series on DiBiase's team, opposite of Hogan's team. Then they did that experimental pay-per-view. Once the movie ran its course in theaters, okay, what they did was they did this package deal and called it No Holds Barred, the match, the movie. And, for whatever price, you got the movie. Then after the movie, a bonus tag team steel cage match with Savage and Zeus again against Beefcake and Hogan. And that was the blow-off. So they tried to squeeze every last dollar out of No Holds Barred and this dude. He lost all 3 of those matches. And then that was the end of him, after the match, the movie gimmick. And until 1996, when WCW brought him in, I'm sure it was Hogan's idea when it was Hogan and Savage.
I think so. Yeah, I think I could safely predict that was Hogan's idea.
Yeah.
So.
The triple cage against basically the entire company.
Yes, every heel in the entire company versus Hogan and Savage, and they beat them, of course. So.
Yeah, the Alliance to end Hulkamania.
Yeah, Arn Anderson, Kevin Sullivan, Lex Luger, Ming, Ric Flair, the Barbarian, the Ultimate Solution, the unfortunately mentioned finally solution, which somebody said, let's maybe make that, let's change that name to something else. And then, of course, Z Gangsta, who was Zeus, of course. So.
Right. And Ultimate Solution was Jeep Swenson, who's also dead.
Correct.
So he died a couple years ago. Oh, my God, I just looked it up. He died in 1997. If I would have guessed, I would have been about 20 years off because I didn't think it was that long
ago. Holy shit, it was a year after this match. Jesus, all right.
Yeah. He had some runs in Texas, but he was one of the largest humans you'll ever see. Jeep Swenson was about 400 pounds, but of muscle. He wasn't like a fat guy. He was like, ever look at those like muscle magazines in the grocery store where the guys are just unhealthy, like you're
I see them all the time for work. Talk about my work. I see those guys all day.
I mean,
where it's just like, it's just they're grossly unhealthy. It looks like you can hit them with a pin and their entire body is just going to deflate, and every part of their body has a muscle on it, and it's all flexing at the same time, and there's veins everywhere, and it's just like disgusting, absolutely disgusting. That was Jeep Swanson.
It was Jeep Swenson.
Yeah, he looked like he couldn't fit in a car. Like he was so big that he couldn't even like bend, and he literally couldn't move any part of his body at all at any point. He was not a very good wrestler.
No, every few years, somebody in Texas would give him a shot because he obviously looks like he's money, but he was awful. So they dug him up for this match as well. And then, of course, Hogan and Savage just, ran through everybody like a hot knife through butter. That was when Hogan was just, in peak power. And if you put Hogan in power, kind of stuff you get where he's winning. I'm surprised it wasn't Hogan by himself against all of these guys.
Yeah, he gave Savage a little bit of a rub, which is believe it or not, I'm sure he found a way to beat Savage a few days later or something like that. So
I'm surprised Savage didn't turn on him in the match because that's what I thought they were going to do. It's Hogan. You know what I mean? So that match was it for Zeus/Z Gangsta. I see on Cage Match he wrestled one match in Puerto Rico. A double count out against Abdullah the Butcher.
That sounds like the worst fucking match in the history of God, I wish I kind of hope that's somewhere, that there's a tape of that somewhere, but I also don't really want to waste 10 minutes of my life watching it. But
no, I would love a tape of that of 1990 Abdullah against Zeus, a double count out. I mean, one guy who just doesn't sell. Right? And another guy who doesn't know how to sell, and whose whole gimmick is that he doesn't like. Zeus's whole gimmick is that he doesn't sell. He's a monster.
It is on YouTube, so you and we can watch it someday. You just look up Abdul the Butcher versus Zeus. It is there. Classics WWC is the YouTube channel, so it's there.
I'm gonna watch that. So you have one guy whose gimmick is that he doesn't sell, and that's really the only thing he brings to the table. What else is Zeus? I mean, he's there to be a monster and not to sell. And then the other guy is someone who just doesn't sell at all. Like, so
I'm fascinated. I'm fascinated how they even got outside of the ring with given the lack of selling. Like,
Yeah, that sounds like a fascinating match. So I'm gonna have to check that out. I wish I would have known that match existed. It was on YouTube. I just found that out now when I happened to pull up the cage match. I would have watched that before we did this show.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I had no idea that it existed either. So
yeah, so that's Kevin Green and Zeus. We're going live here on Tuesday night. Rich, do you want the Impact stream numbers that we're going ahead?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's get some Impact stream numbers. The Kenny Omega bump. I cannot wait to hear how much bump the Kenny Omega bump has created this week.
So 55,000 viewers 2 weeks ago, 15,000 viewers last week. Last week they shoot the big angle to set up the 6-man tag at Hard to Kill in January. This week with
give me those numbers. Give me those numbers again, just real quick. 2 weeks ago was
55,000.
55. Okay.
55. 55K, Rich.
Yeah.
55K. Last week, 15.
Okay.
1-5.
That's a drop, but all right. I mean that blows away their previous baseline numbers.
They do between 800 and 3,000.
Okay.
In a normal week before the Omega thing. Did the angle sub 6-man tag. I don't believe they promised Omega this week, although I could be wrong about that. Currently, and the show's going on as our show is going on, 3,100 viewers on the Impact Twitch. So we are told that Kenny was advertised this week.
Ew.
So that has ran its course. People are either thinking, okay, no, we don't have to come back until he wrestles his match. Hard to Kill. Already shot the angle. Or they're thinking, you've watched this, at least, 12 to 15,000 people have said to themselves, watch this 2 weeks in a row, and I'm not spending another 2 hours on my Tuesday for 6-minute Kenny Omega promo segment inside of a trailer with Don Callis. Again.
Right.
I've had my fill. I've had my fill of this. So that seems to be what's going on there. So yeah, I don't know. What other thoughts could you possibly have?
Yeah, I mean that's a disaster. I mean that's. I mean at least it's on the high end of what you gave me as their kind of average. But you can't be happy with that. That's not good at all on any level whatsoever. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'll be honest. They haven't given me much of a reason to kind of stick around and watch more. So I totally get it. I absolutely do.
I gotta be honest, I watched the last 2 weeks on Twitch because I wanted to monitor the views. I wouldn't have watched this week. So just from that perspective, it kind of makes sense because I've had my fill of it. Like, all right, I've seen it. They already did the angle. They do something significant this week. I can catch it on YouTube. That's my train of thought. Ended up doing the show anyway, so it's it doesn't matter, but I don't think I would have watched a third week in a row. Biggest problem for me, though, is not that they're doing enough with Kenny. The biggest problem for me is that Impact is atrocious.
Yeah, it's just terrible. It's a terrible wrestling show. It's a terrible wrestling show. I don't know who would watch it. I don't know who it appeals to. I don't know what wrestling fan would say, great, it's WWE, but worse. It's WWE with less production value and in some cases worse wrestlers. I'm into it. And like, that sucks because there is some aspects of Impact that I really, really like. But, and I've always said this, it feels like a show that's ran by like 15 different people that come with 15 different ideas. And I mean, you have the Rich Swann story juxtaposed with Who Shot Johnny Bravo. And it's like, why these can't exist in the same universe? But they do, because they think that they're WWE and they present TV wrestling, and TV wrestling sucks. So in the way that WWE thinks that TV wrestling is supposed to be TV wrestling, which is not the way that anybody else ever thought TV wrestling would need to be TV wrestling, but Impact thinks that, hey, well, and the problem is a lot of the guys came from WWE, a lot of people came up in that era, and it's just, that's what it tries to be. That it tries to be TV wrestling in the sense of what they think TV wrestling is, but it's like, bro, who wants that? Barely any people want to watch it from WWE. Their ratings are plummeting as well. Like I don't know if that's the way to approach Impact, but that's what they've decided to do. So whatever.
More information for you. I'm now being told that this week and next week are clip shows.
Oh God.
Does that change anything?
It does. It does. Because I think the second people find out it's a clip show, they're out and they're done. Because
did promise Kenny. I'm told they promised Kenny. I'm told it's a clip show. Those are like two mitigating factors, right? Because no one's going to sit there and watch a clip show. That's number one. You might have some stragglers waiting around for Kenny. So to do on the high end of their usual average for a clip show, maybe it's better than we think. not saying it's any kind of rousing success. What do you think they'd be doing for a clip show with no Omega?
Oh, with no Omega, we're talking 1,000.
In the
you know what I mean?
hundreds.
Yeah, 100. Yeah, it would not be good. Maybe 1,000 on the high end, probably closer to your 800, 900, somewhere in that range. Maybe, but
well, yeah, low end they do under 1,000.
Yeah,
on a real week. On a real week, so you think with a clip show week, you would do on their low end, right? So they're doing on their high end. So I don't know, a lot to think about there. I saw a clip on Twitter tweeted out by Ethan Page today. I don't know if you saw this clip.
I don't think I did. Yeah, I don't think I saw any Ethan tweets today.
You know he's doing Karate Man.
Yes,
right?
of course.
So,
the very, very hilarious Karate Man, yeah.
Very hilarious Karate Man. An incredible bit. So funny. So he's doing Karate Man, but now what they're doing with Karate Man, he kind of had, and a 20-second video. I think what they're doing with Karate Man is like the Fiend, it's two different people.
Oh, God.
In other words,
dear God.
The clip was Karate Man arguing with Josh Alexander while Ethan Page was on the floor selling. See what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
Now, I don't know if this was like an Ethan Page supercut of him being wacky. So, to be fair, I don't know, because I didn't investigate further, because why would I?
Right.
At that point, I'm disgusted. With people saying this is a clip show, maybe that was just Ethan Page being wacky. Hope it was, anyway. Maybe one of us could pull that up while we're doing the show and figure out if that's a actual Impact storyline, or if Ethan Page was being, played by Julian in that instance. See what I could dig up here. So on his Twitter header, it's him selling on the floor from the clip.
Oh, boy.
So let's see if that was, because if that's a real Impact storyline where like they're two different people.
I'm watching the video. I'm watching the video right now from Karate Man's _Karate Man on Twitter to see what's going on here. So Karate Man's in the ring.
I'm watching it too.
Yeah, he's. Oh dear God.
Yeah, see,
no, dude, no, that's got to be for an Impact, man. It says it tune in
doing
tonight.
Commentary over it.
I can't tell. I'm recording the show, so everybody else would be able to hear it. Unless, well, here, let's fuck it.
So it does say tune in tonight.
Here, I'll play the video. I don't know. So there is no commentary. There's just like random background music that plays. So
do you see what I'm saying? It could be Ethan Page being silly.
It could. Yeah, it could be. Them kind of working their own thing or something like that. Yeah, well, I guess we'll find out today. Or, well, I won't find out today, but somebody will find out today. So
either way, who's going to see that and say, oh, I got to see
that. Man, that's good. Let me plop down, let me plop down on the couch for 2 hours and watch Impact Wrestling. Yeah, it's... Yep.
We both have the same sigh at the same time.
There's a great comment from our chat room that says, imagine having a gimmick so shitty that even Irony Indie fans don't pop for it.
Oh, yeah.
These are the people that lose their fucking minds for Danhausen. Danhausen might as well be fucking, the Road Warriors in Chicago in the NWA compared to the pop that the Karate Man got during the Collective. Like, even Irony Indie fans are like, this fucking sucks, dude. Come on.
And the dad. Ally Cat, all of them. They'll get great reactions. Karate Man. That Karate Man match at the Collective was one of the worst things I've ever seen. Like, if I wasn't so dedicated, my Mimosa match hate, that might be the worst match of the year. A Karate Man versus Filthy Tom Lawler. I mean, or the Ally Cat versus Kikutaru from the Game Changer show in Vegas last week. It's like, I have to vote the Mimosa match on principle because it's on a AEW pay-per-view. Right. And our stance is always that way for the worst match of the year. There are worse matches than the ones I usually vote worst match of the year. I try to get the most prominent bad match. The match that was like, the one that should have been better or the one that was given more prominence. Yeah, there's some random ass indie match that I've watched that's definitely worse than whatever match I'm going to vote for the worst match of the year or whatever. But it's all about what got, pushed, what got prominence, what was important. And that match, I mean, Cassidy and Jericho was like a pushed match, like a big deal on a pay-per-view. Like, yeah, that absolutely, in that standpoint, definitely deserves inclusion. So, yeah. So let's move on. We've got a couple shows to review here. We're going to start with the TLC, Rich, the WWE TLC final pay-per-view of the year, World Wrestling Entertainment. If you want to call in and discuss TLC, get in line now.
Real quickly, let me explain to our $10 people, because there might be people that are listening that haven't jumped in on my call-in Q&As. It's pretty simple. We have a few people I see that are in the room already. So all you have to do is be a $10 subscriber. People listening right now, you are $10 subscribers. If you're listening on the podcast feed and you want to participate in one of these later and listen to us live, $10, how you do that, patreon.com/voiceofwrestling. You have to be a member of the Discord, so just go to voiceofwrestling.com/discord, which is pretty easy. Most people, I think a lot of the people that are $10 subscribers are already on there, but if you're not, voiceofwrestling.com/discord, and then all you need to do is hang out. We have a room, so you go on Discord, on the left side, you'll see a bunch of different channels, and then at the bottom you will see voice channels. And there's a channel that says, it's got a hand emoji, and it says Flagship Superfans Q&A Hold Room. So it's very lengthy, but all you have to do is you jump into that room. Discord will connect your audio and connect your microphone, do all that sort of stuff, and then you stay in that room. And if you are ready to talk, you're in that room. If you're ready to be called on, you're in that room. And then when we want to put a call up, I will drag your name into our room, and then you are on. So you were talking, so be ready to talk. Definitely when you find out, because it makes like a notification noise, you know when you're being pulled up, mute the Flagship, please. That is a radio trope to end all radio tropes, is person that gets on forgets to mute their mic or forgets to mute their speakers, by the way, and we hear feedback while you're listening to the live Flagship, then you're called on, and then all this sort of issue. So when you get dragged, when you hear the noise that you're on, when you hear us say, hey, what's going on or whatever, mute the Flagship, mute the stream, and start talking, and then we'll discuss with you. We'll put you on for whatever amount. We'll discuss things. We'll do all that sort of stuff and move on. But that is the simple steps to do it. We also have the steps at patreon.com/voicesofwrestling as well, if you want to do that. But yeah, this is something we've dabbled in. Obviously, behind the paywall. This is the first time we're dabbling in it on the Flagship, and if it's good, we'll bring it back. If it's an absolute disaster, then we're not going to bring it back. And then one other thing as well, we did have some people say, oh, anytime podcast takes calls, they're disasters, they're bad or whatever. I will say all the Patreon ones I've done, they've all been great. All the callers have been good. And more than that, to get onto this calling gimmick, you need to be a $10 subscriber. So if you want to be a troll or an asshole, you can pay $10 to be a troll or an asshole. But what's going to happen is we're going to ban you and you're never going to be able to call again. And we're also going to take your $10. So that's all I'll say. If you want to pay $10 to be an asshole, cool. You get to do it one time. We'll block you, we'll ban you, and you'll never be able to do it again, but we're still going to take your money. So
we'll
there you go.
bury you relentlessly after we disconnect with you.
Yes, exactly. So
actually, they might want that.
You know what?
They want to get the burial. We will not bury you relentlessly either. We'll ignore your existence. No, listen, these people are paying the calls, so the calls will be fine. So if you want to talk TLC, get into that waiting room now. And listen, this show, Rich, shockingly good. I mean, I watch WWE pay-per-views, and obviously this year, more than any other year in history, I'm expecting the worst. And I gotta be honest, top to bottom, this show wasn't that bad at all, and actually had a couple of matches that I really, really liked. I didn't even hate the Fiend versus Randy Orton. Like,
damn, that was gonna be my hot take, is that like there was a lot of ridiculous stuff that we'll talk about with that match, but it was actually not that bad of a wrestling match. Like,
no, especially on the scale of Fiend matches. Like, Fiend matches are some of the worst things you'll ever see, whether they're cinematic or not. Oh, the Seth Rollins disaster and everything else. This wasn't. I mean, this was just a brawl. Yeah, the special effects were over the top, and even special effects, just the literal fire that they had surrounding the ring was very over the top, and you have to be very liberal suspension of disbelief to get into it, because if the Fiend can summon fire, and to win the match you have to set your opponent on fire, then why doesn't the Fiend just magically set Randy Orton on fire? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it seems like it'd be pretty easy. And for if you didn't watch the match, what happened was the whole ring was surrounded by fire and stuff like that. Not like an Inferno match, like outside of the ring, like behind the barricades, there was like plumes of fire. But we didn't know there were plumes of fire until the Fiend got in the middle of the ring and raised his hands up, and then a bunch of fire came out, and then like Tom Phillips or whoever did went, oh. Oh my God, fire! Like, we didn't, these plumes of, like, they're clearly like, boxes of that have been set up to like let fire out of it, but like the Fiend raised his hands and the fire came out. They went, oh my god, fire! And then they proceeded to just blast the entire match. But like you said, the Fiend summoned that fire because it was a surprise to everybody that the Fiend created that fire. But then he created the fire, but then he succumbed to the fire as well because he couldn't stop being on fire and he couldn't put Randy on fire or something, I guess. So yeah.
So if you could just raise your hands and create fire, why not just raise your hands and set Randy on fire and go home?
Right.
Hit the pay window and get out of there. Like, what are we doing here? So anyway, it's WWE and things never make sense. So you just have to like turn the old brain off and to enjoy this on any level. And they had a nice little brawl. I mean, I didn't really have a problem with the match. I thought it was fine. And then, I thought
they
the
did
finish...
a few wild things, to be honest. Like when Bray is giving like the mandible claw while his back's on fire, I'm like, Jesus Christ! Like, what are we doing? Like a man could have been like, and I love Randy Orton not taking any chances. He's in the fucking jeans and the hoodie, man. He's like, no, fuck this shit. I'm not getting burnt. I'm not, I'm gonna enjoy my goddamn Christmas on my yacht or whatever the hell, or his boat or in his pool or whatever. He's like, now get out of here. He's wearing a full hoodie, jeans. He's not getting one bit of this. But like, dude, they were like in this fire. Like it was pretty damn close. Like there's obviously the finish where we'll talk about it here in a minute, which obviously was, special facts and all that sort of stuff. But like there were points where they were like doing shit. Like Randy Orton gives the Fiend an RKO while the Fiend's on fire, for God's sakes. It's like, holy crap. What are you guys doing? Why are you doing this?
I'm wondering if that was a stunt man at any point. I mean, obviously
it's gotta be, man. Dude, I hope it was. I really do. But then again, like I always thought about that with like old wrestling, and then you come to find out that like, WCW put Bret Hart in a car and told him to like crash into another car and speed away. And it's like, what? Like, why would you do that? Just have a stuntman do it. But,
Well, I mean, the closing scene where he's laying there and he's engulfed in flames, that obviously wasn't him.
No, that was clearly just like a dummy or something like that. Yeah.
The earlier spots, like you're saying, the RKO with like the flames on his back and stuff, I wonder if like it was him or a stunt. I'm curious because he seems crazy enough to want to do shit like that. But yeah, I mean, there were some wild spots here, and the finish was utterly ridiculous to the point really of hilarity. I mean, Orton houses this man in flames and sets him ablaze, and he's being burnt to death inside the middle of the ring. Then Orton strikes the Randy Orton pose up on the aisle, which was just incredible humor. I mean, next time I kill a man, Rich, I'm going to strike the Randy Orton pose after I kill the man. Also thought it was funny that at one point, the Fiend puts Randy Orton inside. He puts him on the rocking chair, Sister Abigail's chair, right? He does the old cartoon gimmick where he like does a line of gasoline to the chair, right? And then he's got like
he's
the
Wile E.
Zippo
Coyote. Like he's Wile E. Coyote. He's finally just, I'm gonna get that fucking Roadrunner, and then I'm gonna do it. It's so ridiculous.
With the overcomplicated trap, right? Instead of just dousing Orton in the gasoline and lighting him on fire quickly, places him in the rocking chair. There's a line of gasoline 12 feet long. Takes out his Acme Zippo lighter, and then and then the announcer, somebody tweeted this, and I forget who it was. I think it was Aaron Quinn, our friend Aaron Quinn, I think. If it wasn't, she should take credit for it anyway. Why not?
Yeah, she deserves it, yeah.
It's like, wait a minute. So Byron Saxton, Tom Phillips, and Samoa Joe are just going to watch The Fiend kill Randy Orton right now and set him ablaze?
They're powerless, Joe. They can't, it's a Firefly Inferno match. I mean, you just, it's whatever.
No one's going to step in and stop him from setting this man on fire, which didn't happen at the end either. But yeah, for what it was, I didn't think it was that bad. Like, I thought it was a decent, deathmatch style brawl, whatever you want to call it, with the WWE trappings and histrionics that they have to add to everything to make it completely over the top. Ridiculous. I think if you tone this down a little and get rid of like the supernatural aspect, it's really not that bad of a match.
Yeah, they kept it kind of short too, which is always the problem with a lot of these Fiend matches, is they'll go for 35 minutes or whatever, and it's like, he's not that worker. He's not that good of a worker, and he thinks he's this, unbelievable off-Broadway actor or whatever, and it's like, dude, he's terrible. He's horrendous. So they kept this pretty simple. He didn't get in the ring and do a monologue or whatever. He got in there, he did a bit of a, just a generic brawl with Orton, and Orton seemed, I don't know, like he was putting some pretty good effort into it as well. So yeah, they just had like a pretty decent brawl. They played around with fire for a little bit, and then he lit the fucking Fiend on fire, and that was the end of it. And it was like, oh, all right, that did not take too much of my time, and that is honestly the best you can ask for with, you know, a Firefly Inferno match, is that it doesn't last, you know, 35 or 40 minutes or whatever. That it was, you know, 10 or 12 minutes, and then they were in and out, which I think definitely helped it over, you know, some of the other bullshit like we've seen the Hell in a Cell, or, you know, any. And name your Fiend thing, or the fucking John Cena thing at WrestleMania, or whatever. These things that just never end. The Braun Strowman swamp fight thing where he killed Braun Strowman. I mean, there has been so many murders on WWE television. It's amazing the feds haven't looked into this company, because I mean, the not only are they working during a pandemic, like not taking any weeks off, but like multiple murders going on the show as well. But nobody, the feds, you know, and Tom Phillips and Samoa Joe powerless to stop these multiple murders that occur in front of them. So.
Well, he wasn't on Raw last night, but his girlfriend, who he has hypnotized and convinced that she's a 9-year-old child, was on Raw last
Which is
night.
totally normal stuff. That's definitely
totally
not weird
normal
at
behavior.
all. Yeah, not weird at all that she has pigtails and is literally swinging on a swing set in her little skirt, saying, "Come join me on the playground." Like, yeah, totally normal stuff. Totally.
Come join me on the playground that he built for me.
Yes, yeah.
She said.
When he well, because in the totally, again, completely normal, not weird whatsoever, she let the Fiend in.
Let him in, that's right.
Yeah, so that now, you know.
Let me give you the Cliff Notes version of this story.
Because there's somebody listening, they're like, what are you talking about? But no, okay, yeah, give the Cliff Notes here.
Fiend and Alexa have been teasing that they want to fuck for like months, right? Then they tease a romantic kiss over like whoever the Fiend was feuding with at the time. Their dead carcasses in the ring. They're looking into each other's eyes. Alexa Bliss staring into the mask staring back. And they're about to have this weird, passionate kiss, and the Fiend is fighting it. Going, no. And he's like shaking his head, and he's like, no, right? And they don't kiss. But then eventually, he convinces Alexa Bliss to let him in. So he basically is either hypnotizing her or using mind control. This is a wrestling podcast, by the way.
This is pro wrestling. It's on a wrestling show.
But once she was let in, he's now controlling her. Like, that's the idea here. His idea of controlling her and his vision of what she should be, a child. 9-year-old child with pigtails, who hangs out on swing sets, talks like a child, acts like a child, is mischievous like a child. And oh, by the way, the implication here is that this is his girlfriend. Do I need that? I mean, it's fucking weird, Rich.
It's pretty weird.
It's fucking weird, you know? And, you know, people think we're the weird ones for pointing these things out. And it's like, no, that's is just fucking...
That's clearly the story they're telling you. She was wearing pigtails on a swing set. Like, the subtlety hammer couldn't have been more obvious that this is a 10-year-old child that's being, you know, mind controlled by her boyfriend, the Fiend, Bray Wyatt. It's so fucking weird, yeah.
And they'll be like, well, they're not boyfriend and girlfriend, which, to be fair, they're not holding hands and making out and whatever. But before she let him in, they almost kissed. They had this passionate moment where they nearly made out on SmackDown. So it's just fucking weird, man. I don't know, but the match was fine. What else do you want me to say? And they kept them off TV at least 1 week, so that's good. I thought for sure he'd come on TV and be like, yowie zowie, I got cooked, you know. And be fair, Alexa Bliss made a barbecue joke, so yes. I think that's close enough to what I predicted. Because, you know, she did make a barbecue joke and asked Randy if she could smell the burnt flesh of the Fiend in the ring last night when she was on her swing. And yes, this is a pro wrestling podcast.
And as Sean Sedor, Voice Wrestling contributor Sean Sedor points out in the chat room, the Fiend is the babyface in this story as well. So the the pedophile murder clown is the babyface that's getting cheered. So when Randy Orton lit the pedo murder clown on fire, the fake fans went boo. They said, "No, Randy, no!" You know, Tom Phillips like, "No, Randy, don't do it." Like, we should all be cheering him on. We should be cheering this man on because he killed the pedophile murder clown. But no, we're going boo.
The pedophile, dirty swamp wizard murder clown who has been killing other people.
He's killed multiple people this year alone. Has killed multiple people.
Threatened to kill the Miz's infant baby. Let's not forget about that. So this is a bad person. But then all three commentators are doing the hushed tone.
The Miz thing where I came to play. Forgot about
pointing
that.
and spinning on his
He's like, "You're gonna kill my infant? Well, hold on a minute. Let me get my shit in."
He put on my glittery headband. Prepare to fight you. You've threatened to kill my infant child.
Oh my god!
I can't do this without my glitter robe and full
spin.
entrance.
Yeah, my spin entrance.
Spin and point.
Oh god.
So yeah, he's the baby face for some reason. I don't understand.
Just one week they decided he was the baby face. I have no idea. Nobody has any idea.
There's no turn.
Just one week, the fake fans started cheering for him, and the announcers went, "That's the Fiend Bray Wyatt," and the fake fans just started cheering, and then here we are. I inexplicable beyond any.
So he's in the ring on fire. Randy Orton's doing his Orton pose. All three announcers are using the Owen Hart hushed tone voice. Samoa Joe, oh, he's gone too far. Randy's gone too far this time. Tom Phillips, I can't believe I can't believe what we're witnessing here. Byron Saxton, oh, Randy Orton, we know he's diabolical, but this is just, I can't believe
he's gone too far. He's gone too far this time, Randy.
Gone too far. They're in their whispered, hushed tones because the dirty wizard, murder clown, pedophile is burning to death inside the ring. I mean, isn't this a mercy kill? Isn't this like? Shouldn't you want this literal monster to be dead? I mean, why isn't Randy the babyface here? This is like setting Freddy Krueger on fire.
Yeah, or It. Yeah, It the Clown. Everybody wasn't like, oh man, I hope he kills more children. It was like, no.
Right.
You wanted It dead. You wanted the children to beat It. You don't want.
Exactly.
God.
Yeah. It's bizarre. Freddy Krueger was a child molester. So the parents got together and set him on fire. Not unlike this storyline where the child molester was set on fire. And it's like he didn't turn babyface. You can't be a babyface kid toucher, right? So I don't know.
I mean, in World Wrestling Entertainment, I don't know. I'm not sure.
I guess so. I had 2 notebook matches on this show.
My WWE match of the year was on this show.
Listen, Rich, I really love the Hurt Business versus New Day, but I wouldn't go so far as to call it my WWE match of the year. Pump the brakes, my friend. I mean, I know it's been a light year in World Wrestling Entertainment, but surely you've seen better matches than the Hurt Business over New. No, of course you are talking about Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens in the TLC match. I don't know if it's my WWE match of the year, but it was really fucking great. I went notebook on it. I went 4 1/4. Very fun plunder. They worked their asses off. All 3 of them. Throw Uso in there. And they did a lot of dangerous things. Kevin Owens is great in this kind of environment. Roman Reigns is great in this kind of environment. It may have been a little bit of overkill, and, it is a WWE TLC match, so it's going to be over the top and all that. But for what it was, I'll say this. This is about as much as I can enjoy a match of this type in WWE in the modern day.
That's
that
exactly,
fair?
Yeah, that is absolutely, my notes say, like, I hate this match type. I really never want to see a plunder match again. I'm sick of ladder matches. I'm sick of TLC matches. I'm sick of guys getting, speared through barricades. I'm sick of guys trying to spear through a barricade and moving out of the way, and then that guy going through the barricade. I'm sick of ladder teases. I'm sick of all this sort of stuff. I'm sick of run-ins. I'm all sick of all that. And this had all that. It had all the stuff that I hate about wrestling, but it fucking ruled. It was so. I think what at its core, what I loved about this match is how logical it was, in a lot of ways, and that is not something I say about WWE matches very often. It's not something I say about WWE plunder matches very often as well. But there's enough smart guys in the room. You got Kevin Owens in the room. Presumably you have Paul Heyman, who I have to imagine was in the room a little bit because the stuff made fucking sense as opposed to the usual shit that doesn't make any sense. But as anybody,
if it's Roman Reigns, then Heyman's in the room.
Yeah, exactly. He's going to be involved because that's his guy right now. And I knew it because there was at least hints of logic. So Kevin Owens is about to climb up the ladder pretty early on in the match, and all of a sudden here comes Jey Uso. And he runs out because of course he would run out. Of course Jey Uso would run out and say, well, fuck no, I'm not going to sit in the back while my guy's getting, beaten up or about to lose this match. I'm going to run in here. I'm going to beat this guy up. So he runs in and beats him up. And then Kevin Owens beats up Jey Uso and sends him packing. And then
perfectly legal, Phillips.
Yeah, and then the
perfectly legal, Phillips.
Yeah.
Do you think Vince McMahon's edict is for these guys to scream perfectly legal?
It's got to be.
Over and over in any no DQ match, because that's always the phrase they use too. Do you notice that? This is all perfectly legal. This is perfectly legal, Cole. Nothing he can do about it, Cole. Perfectly legal. Is that a Vinceism?
It's got to be.
That's it?
Yeah, it's got to be because they all say it exactly that way, like you said. Perfectly legal is the perfect term they use there. But again, what I love about the logic then is okay. Then you get Jey Uso out of it because he gets sent to the back. They work over his foot. I think it wasn't Kevin Owens like dropped something on his foot or did something to his foot or whatever. So they send Jey Uso to the back. And that gives you the explanation of, okay, instead of him just rolling on the outside and writhing in pain for 20 minutes while they do a bunch of spots, you set the established, thing that, okay, Jey Uso came to help out Roman Reigns. Kevin Owens thwarted him off and sent him packing. So now these two can go back and have a wrestling match and then go back and fight one another and they can go back and do all their sort of stuff. And I love that. And then later in the match, Jey Uso said, no, my foot's not that bad. I'll get out there and try to help my guy again. And he does. He goes out there and he helps the guy again. He limps, he sells, he does all that sort of stuff. I just love that little attention to detail. And it's so crazy that I'm saying such a simple thing like that is great, and I'm calling such a simple thing like that a reason why a match is like my favorite of the year in WWE. But like that's the level that we've stooped at this point. We're just having something that makes any little bit of logical sense. It's like, holy shit, look at that! Like, look at what they did. And I thought more than that, these guys worked their fucking asses off. Like you said, big bumps, huge bumps. Kevin Owens, he's gonna be so fucking sore, and he's got a goddamn cage match this week as well. But I thought Reigns was really good. This is the best of Reigns that you've seen in quite a while. Owens always delivers in these spots, especially these plunder matches. He lives for this sort of stuff. He was great. You have the Jey Uso inclusion. You have Paul Heyman on the outside, kind of writhing in pain with Roman. I mean, this was tremendous. This is like such a good WWE match. They could do this. They can do this stuff. They used to do this stuff all the time, but they stopped.
Your stars.
4.5.
That's your WWE match of the year. So what did that beat out? Sasha and It's Bailey and the
that's gonna be tough. Or... that's gonna be tough. I did love that match. I forgot about that one. I might have to go back.
We're talking main roster here, obviously.
Yeah.
Not
Walter
and Ilya Dragunov.
No. Just main roster WWE. Yeah. Ooh, that's close. I might have to rewatch. Man, I forgot about Bailey and Banks. I was going through them earlier, and I was like, yeah, this is definitely it. I don't know why I forgot that Bailey and Banks match, mostly because I guess that feud it's evaporated so quickly. But that match is pretty tremendous as well. So it'd be a toss-up between those two, I think.
How's that not a WrestleMania match?
They're not even feuding with each other anymore. They're not even involved anymore. They did their little blow-off at fucking whatever the hell the pay-per-view was, and we're done. Now Bailey's fucking around with Bianca Belair, and Sasha's fucking around with Carmella, and it's like, you idiots, what are you doing?
Speaking of Sasha Banks fucking around with Carmella, she beats her in 12 minutes and 42 seconds. This was my second Notebook match of the show. I loved this match.
I've not seen this. For full disclosure, I've only saw the last two matches, and I heard everyone says this is like the best Carmella match ever, and it's not even close. I am really curious to watch this.
Look, she held up her end. Look, Sasha's great. Sasha could have great matches with just about anyone, but Carmella didn't feel like a carry job. Carmella was right there. Great worked at a brisk pace, a lot of creative spots, and I didn't love the finish, and not the part where Carmella's heater, I forget his name, not the part where the heater yanks Sasha Banks out of the ring. That's not the part I hated. Okay, because that was a nice little spot at the end of the match, and then it didn't lead directly to the finish anyway. What I hated about the finish is, Rich, they have to fucking go there every time in this company. Carmella is having trouble putting Sasha Banks away, even after she gets help from her manager or whoever that guy's supposed to be. So she gets frustrated, and she's standing over Sasha Banks, cutting one of those high school play promos, screaming at the top of her lungs, "I'm Carmella. I'm better than you. I'm Carmella." Why do they have to do this shit? Why can't you just have the match? Why do we have to have...
They're making movies, pal.
Yeah, I mean, and then, of course, Sasha couldn't finish her off, and she lost her head, and then Sasha took advantage, put her in the bank statement, I think, and tapped her out. I didn't like that. But again, it's WWE. Kind of have to live with it. Because, especially in the Thunderdome, they're going to do that. For whatever reason, they feel like in the Thunderdome, got to replace the lack of atmosphere or fans with wrestlers cutting intimate promos on each other, NXT style. So I didn't like that. But this was a shit ton of fun, and it way over-delivered. And I might be overrating it a little, but I don't care. I really liked it, so I went 4 stars.
There you go. Nice.
I really do think, look, I wouldn't waste your time. I think you should watch it, honestly. I mean, It's 10 minutes long, and it was really good. Let's go through the rest of the card quickly, and then we'll take some calls on TLC. Hurt Business are the new tag team champions. They defeat the New Day. This was Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin in this case. So no Bobby Lashley, no MVP. So Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin, the new Raw tag team champions. It was a match. It was fine. Nothing on this show was bad. These were all, nice little 3-star matches, or in some cases way better. And then the women's tag team title match, the mystery partner, which was revealed early in the day, the worst kept secret, it was Charlotte Flair. So Asuka and Charlotte Flair. Now, I don't know why they're friends. No explanation given for that. But it's WWE. You just have to ignore these things. And they defeat Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler to win the women's tag team titles. Probably the least interesting match on the show. But there was nothing wrong with it. Perfectly fine 3-star match. And then we already talked about the semi and the main. I did not see Drew McIntyre, AJ Styles.
So that opened the show, right?
Yeah, McIntyre, Styles, and The Miz opened the show. I was watching the end of a football game, and I never got back to it. Oh, and I heard that was really good. I can't speak on it. Maybe one of the callers can speak on it. We'll take some TLC calls. Remember, these are TLC calls, so if you have any thoughts on table, ladders, and chairs, let's take some calls now.
All right, let's do it. Let's go with Timothy Regal, so a longtime listener here. Timothy, can you hear us? 0 for 1. Damn it. Wait, Timothy, I can hear him trying to talk. I don't know.
Give him a chance.
Oh, I hear a dog. I hear dogs barking. He's probably trying to get the dogs ready to go. Perfect.
Can't wave him. Let's go to the next call.
All right, well, we'll put him back in the room.
Try again.
Put him back in the room. All right, let's go with Skeech. Skeech 101. What's up, man? Fantastic. Great start, Joe. These work. I promise you they work.
Oh, my advice would be, if you're in the room, be ready.
Yes.
Because Skeech clearly was in the room and he's not ready. So
we're
no technical issue here. He just wasn't ready. So
there we go. Well, I've messaged Timothy to ask him if he's ready. So I will hear back if he is. All right, Michael Horgan. He just jumped in. That makes me assume that he's ready. Michael Horgan, are you ready?
And he's not ready.
Make sure you mute the flagship there, Michael, if you can.
Yep. Got it muted.
There it is. What's up, Michael? Yes, it worked. See? It can happen.
See? These can work. So I was going to say, actually, I did watch the Drew AJ Miz match, and
all right, well, let me stop you right there.
Yeah.
You are going to give the official flagship review.
There it is. Now we don't have to watch because Michael did. Perfect.
Of Drew McIntyre versus AJ Styles versus The Miz. But unlike behind the paywall, talking to tens of thousands of people. So don't make a fool of yourself. Go ahead and review the match.
Okay. Do my best here, because the number one thought that I had watching the match was, and I know this is a point that you guys have brought up before, I'm watching these guys kill themselves, right? And they're working what is overall a pretty smart match. They're building it around Drew selling the leg, and that's how AJ can stay in it. And when Drew's on offense, he's throwing AJ around like a rag doll, which is exactly what Drew should do. But I'm watching the whole thing, and all I can think is, I don't care about any of this. I have no emotional connection, and therefore it's impossible to engage with it beyond a superficial, that's quality wrestling, I guess, sort of level.
That's the inherent problem with modern WWE. Storytelling is so broken, it's impossible to care about any of it, because what have you been taught as a viewer? You've been taught that nothing that happens in this match is going to matter tomorrow on Raw. We've seen AJ Styles literally die this year.
I forgot he died. Yeah, I forgot another death. That was one I completely forgot. Yeah, 2 deaths on that show on Money in the Bank.
So and he died at WrestleMania.
That's right.
He died.
I forgot.
He got buried alive.
Christ, yeah.
So I mean, even to those extremes, it's just because nothing matters. It also hurts, for me at least, hurts the match quality of these matches too, because the less invested I am, I can only like a match so much without any. Go ahead.
I was gonna say that's exactly how I felt watching that match, right? Like I ended up giving it like 3 3/4, and the closing stretch is awesome, and there's a lot of great twists and turns. But again, if I don't give a fuck about any of the characters, why do I ultimately care? Like, why am I engaging with this? Like, and that's the problem of WWE is I'm like, I don't care about The Miz or Drew McIntyre and his magic sword, no matter how much you're trying to tell me I should.
That's why they're doing 1.5 million viewers a week on Raw now, because they've taught their audience that they're not supposed to care about any of this.
And what's
that's
interesting
a huge problem.
is, you know, we talked about the match just a little bit ago, like the Kevin Owens Roman Reigns. I think Roman is one of the few guys in the company that, you know, I don't love all the Roman stuff. I don't really love the in-match monologues and all that sort of stuff. But he's a guy I genuinely do kind of care about because he's a somewhat interesting character. He's got some personality. I understand his motivations. I understand why he does the things he does. It does, and that's what wrestling is all about. At the end of the day, you know, we're watching these fake fights and we're doing those because we want to know that they matter, that, you know, they're going to be entertaining or whatever, and that there's just something, you know what I mean, like that you need some sort of hook, you need something like that. And like you said, I couldn't possibly care less about Drew McIntyre. So going and watching and AJ Styles too, like I what the hell is AJ? I mean, if I told you in one sentence to tell me what AJ Styles motivations and what his character is in 2020, like I don't know that anybody could do it. Michael, could you even, if I said one in the elevator pitch of AJ Styles in 2020, what is his motivations and why is he wrestling in this wrestling match?
He's a comedy wrestler. He's a comedy wrestler with a giant bodyguard now.
I was gonna say he's almost now. Like if you want me, it's almost like that's what I'm in for. Like the almost bits were great in the match. Like they timed those spots really well so that they actually went over well. I was kind of surprised for once they actually kind of got that right.
Which is interesting because the next night on Raw, they did a big table spot with Omos on the outside of the ring in the main event, and they missed the finish of the match. I don't know if either one of you guys saw that. But, the production crew was they were very confused.
What are you doing? Nobody else is watching Raw, you weirdo.
We just said 1.5 million viewers, Joe. Don't be one of the 1.5 million, man. Come on.
He's got a job to do, though.
Thanks for the call. You know, we didn't bring callers on here to rip me first.
Thank you, Michael. Have a good one, man.
And gang up on me.
Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah, Three Kings Day.
Kings, Rich.
Diwali.
You know, what is it? What are you saying? What is your wife going off to war?
No, you told me that instead of saying Happy Holidays or Merry Christmas, that I should say every single one. So.
Yeah, but how long is the closing greeting for this geek? I mean, come on. I mean, jeez.
That was a fantastic caller there.
Yeah.
He just reviewed the match for you.
Saying goodbye to this guy like he's going off to fight in the Middle East. I mean, let's relax here.
I think Timothy's ready now. If you want to, do you want to punch Timothy up, or did you have any thoughts about the call?
Let's take one more TLC call and then we'll move on.
Okay, Timothy, we are going to put him on there. Timothy Regal, how are you? Oh my, Timothy.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yes, there we go. What's up, man?
All right. Hey, guys, man. You know, so here's my take, and I kind of echo what you guys have been saying. I said, you know, I don't watch Raw, SmackDown. I hit the point NXT bores me. I don't watch much WWE week-to-week product. Which I think, Rich, I think you know my connection to a certain WWE superstar. I don't think Joe does, but so, coming from me, that's saying something. Here's my thing. I sat down and I watched the pay-per-view, and literally up until the Inferno, which the ending of that was what it was, I'm sitting there watching the show and I'm like, man, this is a really good pro wrestling show. Why is it we can do a really great pay-per-view, but we cannot do a week-to-week show that connects to that in any kind of sense whatsoever, that just makes me go, there is no way I am ever watching these programs on a week-to-week basis ever again. Why? How? What do you change?
Thanks for the call. I think I have an answer for you. The fact is, you just get lucky these pay-per-views sometimes because everything lines up and everybody works hard and the finishes aren't an absolute disaster. There were no terrible finishes on this show. I think that helps too. You know, but sometimes they just get in their own way and they trip over their own dick and they can't help themselves but to overbook these things. But in a vacuum, you can get lucky with a show in a vacuum where everything lines up and there's no overdone finishes and it's not overbooked and all of the matches are pretty decent. I think that's the simple answer.
Yeah, and they used to do this all the time. Like when a couple years ago, I forget what year it was exactly, but there was a year where they, like, every one of their pay-per-views were good. And every one of all the TV shows still sucked. They weren't as bad as they were in 2020, but they still weren't very good. And they were still kind of annoying and they were still kind of bad or whatever. But we would come on the show and go, well, who really cares? Because every single month on the WWE Network for $9.99 or whatever, we're getting a kick-ass, events. We're getting kick-ass matches. We're getting great main events. 2015, I think is the year I'm talking about. You had Indy Cena doing fucking Yoshi Tonics with Kevin Owens. You had Seth doing really good stuff that year as well. And a bunch of other guys on the roster. Brian was still, I think, around. Sami Zayn was just kind of coming up. Like, there was a lot of really, really good talent, and they would have great pay-per-views. It was like the TV stinks, TV makes no sense, but once a month these guys come on here for 3 hours and have a tremendous pay-per-view, and that really held for quite a few years. It really wasn't until I'd say 2019 where, like, the TV was horrid, as it almost always is, and then the pay-per-view started being bad, and then they stopped getting lucky, like you said. They stopped being able to have those good pay-per-views. And 2020, I mean, yeah, they had this show, but I mean, they've had some real shitty pay-per-views this year as well. So I don't know if it's like an overarching disconnect between the TV and the pay-per-views. I think, like you said, Joe, they just got lucky this time, and enough good guys, enough good wrestlers and enough good matches, enough good, agents to get it all together and just make it work is what happened. Because yeah, they haven't been great on pay-per-view this year.
Very next night they were back to utter shit.
Yeah.
So it's just lightning in a bottle where, it was a well-booked show where everybody worked hard and they had good matches. So that was TLC. And now, Rich, we start the road to WrestleMania next month. Can you believe it? Road to WrestleMania.
I cannot wait.
It'll be an empty building. Will it be Performance Center Mania? And will they keep the pirate scenery and whatnot this year for a second year in a row? Will they continue the holding pattern? They say they're going back to Tampa, right?
I think so. But no. Isn't this one the Hollywood one? Or no? Did they bump that an extra year back?
Yeah, going back to Tampa.
Oh, all right. Well, I guess they're there already, so they might as well just stay. So you
can do the pirate motif again.
Well, the Rays are going to have to use that building pretty soon, huh?
Yes.
They're going to start running out of buildings. I don't know where they're going to go. They need a.
I looked at the schedule, and the Rays are on the road for like the first 10 days of the season.
Okay, all right. So they can
a little extra time.
Yeah, they're going to have to Joel Osteen this and just buy like an old arena and just take it over. Like, there's got to be just some shitty baseball stadium or shitty football stadium or shitty basketball stadium that no one's using anymore that they can slide into and move into. What's the terrible one in Newark? Is anybody using that one?
I just built the Newark one, the Prudential.
No, where the Devils used to play for a little bit, and the New Jersey Nets used to play for a little bit. Yes, yeah, exactly. That's just sitting there, right? They're not doing anything with that.
Old Continental / Izod Center.
Yes, yeah, Izod Center. That's how I knew it, as the Izod Center.
Meadowlands Arena, for simplicity's sake, with no sponsors. Yeah, I don't know if they've knocked that down yet. It may have. I have so many memories in that building, whether it's wrestling or basketball or whatever the fuck. 20 minutes up the turnpike where I lived. So many Nets games in different eras of the Nets. Going all the way back to...
Were you forced to go, or what?
No, I mean, going all the way back to Coleman, Kenny Anderson, and Drazen Petrovic. I mean,
you can go see that team. I would not have seen any like post 1995 New Jersey Nets games willingly. But
I used to have partial season ticket packages to the Nets for years. I wouldn't get them every year, but every couple of years I'd get them because, why the fuck not? It was a short drive. The tickets were cheap.
The key with basketball, and the reason why I love attending basketball games, is people think, oh, that team sucks or whatever. And I'm all joking aside, like, the Nets, whatever. You don't go to watch the New Jersey Nets. You go because they're facing the Seattle Supersonics, and you're going to see Sean Kemp. Or, like, I rarely go to Bulls games to say, oh, man, here come my Chicago Bulls. Like, I look at that schedule and I go, okay, cool. Dirk's coming this day. Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant are coming this day. Kobe's coming this day. Like, that's what I look at. I'm not sitting down to say, oh, man, I can't wait to see what, Lauri Markkanen and the crew are going to do, or what, it was always about the other team. And that's where, like, even if your team stinks, they're going to face a cool guy or a cool team, like, pretty regularly. And that is what's awesome about having basketball season tickets. A buddy of mine had bowl season tickets for a long time. Unfortunately, because of that, I had to go watch a lot of Orlando Magic games because nobody bought his Orlando Magic tickets. So he would say, hey, I have tickets. Do you want to go? Nobody wants to buy them. And I'd go watch, the Orlando Magic for 3 or 4 straight years. So that was fun.
I bought a quarter. They used to sell quarter season ticket packages. They were like 10 or 11 games or something like that. And I was just a shit bum, 19-year-old, shitty job. So that's all I could afford. So I would buy like the quarter season ticket package. And you just get what you get in terms of games. Right? And got very lucky the one year because the Bulls were part of that package. And it was the year Jordan came back. So I ended up seeing number 45 Jordan in the Nets in the Meadowlands. Because remember they wouldn't wear him they wouldn't let him wear 23 because they had already retired it. And there was that weird rule in the league where he couldn't get his number back. So I did get to see. That's the only time I saw Jordan live.
Yeah, as the 4-5. Wow.
In the 4-5, getting beat up by Rex Walters.
Oh, God. How did that go?
That was the defensive matchup. Well, Jordan was rusty. He didn't play that well. You know what? We should pull up the box.
Yeah, I'm in the process of doing it right now. So
I don't remember him playing very well, and I just remember screaming at Rex Walters to D him up. And, control because it was
like, I know it's Michael Jordan. I'm trying.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Looks like March 16th. March 16th. No, this is not the 4-5 year here. One sec. Let me. That was the 72 win season. So not the right one. There we go.
I didn't get to see that team. I would love to have gotten to see that team.
I only saw one Bulls game as a kid. They were a hot ticket, as the kids say, Joe. It was pretty tough to find any. Okay, I think this is the game here. April 5th, 1995. Does it sound about right?
That's the 4-5 year, then that's it.
Yep, 108-101. Nets make it a close game here. Michael Jordan had he was 13 of 31, but he had 37 points. So I don't know if I call it an off night. I guess for Jordan that's an off night.
I didn't, but he's 13 for 31, so my memory's pretty good here. That is not a good game.
Not bad, yeah, not bad.
Was Rex Walters on the other side? Make sure
he was. Right, yeah, he started. He played 41 minutes, 8 of 14 from the field, so 17 points for Rex Walters. Arm & Hammer Gilliam led the Nets with 27 points. So
love the Hammer. I loved watching the Hammer
not
play.
Great when Armin Gilliam is your leading scorer. Benoit Benjamin adds 12 there. Kenny Anderson with 21 points, 15 assists. Oh, what a game from Kenny. 21 and 15. There we go. Classic Kenny Anderson game.
A lot of heat in the building because all the Bulls fans bought up the tickets, obviously, because it came out of nowhere. And I remember it being an electric atmosphere. It was really a lot of fun. It was actually one of my favorite basketball games I've ever been to. And that was in that building. SummerSlam 97. Steve Austin breaks his neck on the pile driver, and Bret Hart beats The Undertaker.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I was sitting right on the aisle for that. I love that building. I mean, I basically grew up in that building. That building was the 1996, I want to say, NBA draft was in that building. That was the Iverson, Ray Allen,
yeah,
Kerry Kittles.
Yeah.
And I remember we drove up to that draft, me and my dopey friends, and my friend's car, we had to pull over every mile to fill his radiator with water or the car would exploded. So we did this all the way up Turnpike to get to this draft, right? Stopping every 2-3 miles as the car would start to smoke out of the front hood. And we get there and we can't get in the building. It's sold out. So they had screens set up on the outside, and it was an overflow crowd for this draft. Let's see, Iverson get drafted, and the Nets had a high pick that year. They took Kittles.
Yep, Kerry Kittles, yeah.
And, instead of watching, now, this is such a Joe Lanza story. Instead of sticking around to watch the draft in the parking lot, we all looked at each other and said, let's go to the track. So we went to the horse track next door and played the ponies that night. But, I've got a million little moments like that. Outside, just going to wrestling shows and just waiting out back, because in that building, these guys had to walk up the tunnel to their cars in the parking lot. Basketball players, whoever, we'd go in the back of the building after basketball games, and Rick Mahorn was a great guy. He would fuck around with fans all the time. Sean Bradley was the biggest asshole going. He didn't want nothing to do with anyone. I remember Sean Bradley's car. He had a pickup. Was it a pickup truck? It was like a double cab pickup truck with the back seat removed because his legs are so long. So he was sitting like on the bench seat in the back to drive the car. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
His legs were so long. I always will remember that. Rick Mahorn and Rick Mahorn's wife were always the nicest people, and they would fuck around with fans, and he would be roasting all the fans. And Paul Silas, who was an assistant coach, he would stand back in that parking lot and talk strategy with you. Just after a game, the team stunk. They probably lost again by 30, but he's out in that parking lot discussing strategy with the fans and what worked and what didn't work. And, so
there's nothing better. If you ever are going to meet a coach or an athlete, a basketball player or a basketball coach on a bad team are the best. Because those guys, they want to vent. And they don't care if you're they play for a shitty team that nobody cares about. Like if it insert random team or whatever. And ideally they're not like a star or they're a former star or whatever. Those guys will talk to you for hours about basketball. An assistant coach who's sitting by himself in a hotel bar or whatever, that dude will get out some fucking cocktail napkins and draw you up plays and tell you what went wrong and who's a bum and who stinks and who, you know what I mean? Like they're the greatest people in the world to talk to. And they're again, they can't be a good team because the good guy, the good team doesn't want to talk to you. They don't have time for you. But it's got to be a shitty team in like a dumb town too. Like even if it's like the Detroit Pistons and they're visiting like the Milwaukee Bucks or whatever, and you're at the hotel where the Pistons are staying, those guys will talk to you for an hour. While they're downing their bourbons or their vodkas and waters or whatever, and munching on mozzarella sticks or whatever. They will talk hoops with you for hours if you want to talk. So if you ever, I never really recommend ever going up to athletes or coaches or anything like that, but assistant coaches on bad NBA teams will talk to you for hours, and it is fantastic.
Yeah, see, back then with like I'm saying, that parking, because now all the new buildings, these guys, their cars are underneath the arena.
Right.
They don't have to. But back then it wasn't like that. With some of these older buildings, these guys kind of knew the score. They knew after every home game there's going to be fans back there looking for autographs or whatever. So they were kind of used to it. So it was just kind of like the post game routine. But yeah, it's wrestling wise, the one thing I remember Chris Candido and Ahmed Johnson coming up the tunnel. Candido had a towel over his head. He was protecting his face because they wrestled each other that night. He was protecting kayfabe.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
He was old school. Like everyone else didn't give a shit. Other people were coming out, baby faces and heels, guys who faced each other. But I'll never forget Candido, or I guess he was Skip at that time, coming up that tunnel with Ahmed Johnson with the towel over his head covering his face. And people were calling out his name, and he was no-selling them. Ahmed Johnson was stopping to sign things and shake hands. He was just head down, towel on his face. He got right into the car. He had the towel over his head, and he ducked down in the car. He didn't want anybody to see his face. Old school. I just remember thinking that was so cool. Anyway, those are my memories of Meadowlands Arena. A lot of names over the years. Brendan Byrne Arena, Continental Airlines Arena, Izod Center, I think was the last name before they closed it down, or when the Nets and the Devils finally moved.
I don't know what the hell they're doing with that thing anymore. It might be knocked down for all I know, but I'm just trying to think of buildings they could buy and just run their shows out of. So
yeah, as a couple of years ago it was there, and it was like concerts and things like that would run, but it became obviously a drain. I'm sure they knocked it down by now. So they were building some entertainment complex on those grounds, because obviously they knocked down Giant Stadium as well and rebuilt and built MetLife.
Right.
Because it was the Continental Airlines Arena, Giant Stadium, and the horse track. So that was the Meadowlands Sports Complex, those three buildings. So they knocked down the football stadium. I'm pretty sure by now Izod is knocked down, because they built like an entertainment complex called Xanadu, a decade-long project, and I don't think it ever opened. I think it just was one of those tax projects that just ran out of funding or something. This is all since I've moved from New Jersey, so I don't really – but, yeah, that I was in that building no less – I mean, at least 100 times for shit. I mean, I basically grew up in it. I'm sure you have a building in Chicago that you went to a million times, to see various things over the years.
Yeah, Rosemont Horizon, United Center, both those, yeah. Saw so many things.
So you sparked some necessity when you brought that up.
Yeah, that's awesome. So
Let's move on and talk about a building I've never been to, and that's the Kobe building in where was Final Gate? I blew my.
I don't know actually where Final Gate was. Now that I mentioned
Fukuoka, right? Fukuoka. It was in the
sure.
Yeah, the Fukuoka Kasuoka Center here, a building I've never been to. Now let's talk about a little bit of Dragon Gate. How much of the Final Gate did you see, Mr.
I just saw the main event. I wanted to watch more of it. I was holding out hope for the English commentary, which we can talk about here in a bit. English commentary was supposed to be on the show. They had some technical difficulties the night of. They said, "Okay, cool. We can't do it live, but we'll be able to record it live to tape, and then we'll put it up later." Then we got a notification from Jay today, or a tweet that he said, "It's all corrupted. It's all shit. So I got to go and redo it." So that sucks. So once I found out that, hey, we're not going to go back and redo it, then I just said, okay, fine, fuck it. I'll just, or we are going to redo it, but it's going to be a weaker now. I will instead just listen to the Japanese commentary. So I just caught up today. I did see the main event, but I do want to watch the entire show because it looked right up my alley.
We'll take some Dragon Gate Final Gate calls. So if you have any questions or comments on Final Gate, hop in line now. But yeah, I mean, if you're like Rich and you're waiting around for the English commentary,
we got some breaking news here. The nurse is in the house. Post-vaccine. How's it going, nurse?
It's fine.
Oh.
She's not a zombie yet. She is not eating my flesh yet. Yet.
I got a massive hot flash for a second.
Okay.
And now I kind of have a headache. But
fantastic.
Other than that, totally fine.
Good.
That's not that bad.
It's not
It's not a horrible headache.
That's true.
Also, that may be because I'm dehydrated from working a 12-hour shift and not drinking water. So
you're not selling it very well.
Maybe not vaccine related.
Isn't it a double dose? Does you have to go back?
You do have to go back, right? When do you go back now?
January 11th.
Yes. So some of them are double doses, some are not.
They're all double.
They're all double? I thought the other one wasn't. No, I don't.
Oh, okay.
I'm just joking.
Oh, okay. Sure. Go get your single dose somewhere. Have fun. Moderna's double as well.
Oh, is it? I thought it was single. Okay.
No.
There you go.
Continue to.
I don't know why you're questioning the health.
I know. I'm just joking. Yeah, it gets her really mad. So.
Actually, I think Pfizer's 21 days apart, and I think Moderna's 28 days apart. I think that's the only difference.
There you go. So you
she got some answers.
You got the
I
Pfizer.
got Pfizer.
Okay.
The good one.
I think our hospital's running out of vaccines after today. So.
Fantastic. All right. Well, good thing you got it today then, I guess,
yeah,
right?
I heard people have appointments scheduled for other days, and they're going to get canceled because they ran out. So.
Lovely.
There. Go eat your frozen pizza then.
Yeah, I'm pretty tired. Also worked 12 hours. Also pretty tired from that.
You just said tired again, but yeah, that's good.
Yeah. I'm a
Mitch McConnell got his, so we're...
Yeah, Mitch McConnell. Joe just said Mitch McConnell got his, so we're A-okay.
Yeah, that's fucking bullshit.
Wait, you can't swear on the show.
Oh, sorry. It's fucking bullshit. I think Lindsey Graham also got one.
Yeah.
And
got him.
Several other people who thought COVID was no big deal, but pretty excited to be on the bandwagon for the vaccine. So
every one of them got him.
Meanwhile, we're running out of vaccines, and I don't think all of our nurses have been vaccinated.
Well, that's the American dream right there. So.
Yeah, well.
So I'm sure the vaccine
is
totally fine. Just don't get it after a 12-hour.
Yeah, maybe drink water or eat something.
Drink water, maybe eat some food, and don't work 12 hours. I'm sure the vaccine's fine.
Well, everybody listening is a male between the ages of 20 and 35, so there's no chance we're ever getting the vaccine anyway. So it'll be.
Oh yeah, you'll get it in like a year and a half.
Nobody listening.
Well, no, the young adults are getting it.
I didn't take the vaccine selfie.
She's just blowing through you. She doesn't care. So.
Yeah.
Like
a steamroller. I love it.
Because I'm really afraid of needles, and I was like almost in tears when I was doing it because I got myself so worked up.
Okay.
So I don't have a picture of me.
Well, what's the point of getting the vaccine if you can't put it on Instagram that you got it?
I was just going to ask you if you want to take my picture.
Yeah, sure. I'm not doing anything else. That's fine. Yeah.
Cool,
all right.
thanks.
Yeah, cool.
Well, I don't want it in front of your.
I don't have. Yeah, because I have. Shit.
I'll take it myself.
Okay. By the way, in front of the Wrestle Kingdom, you got Shinsuke Nakamura right over there. You got the Wrestle Kingdom.
There's an Undertaker.
There's an Undertaker figure. Yeah, you got 2 Wrestle Kingdom programs up there.
There's a CM Punk figure.
There is a CM Punk figure.
It's fucking bullshit.
You want to shoot on CM Punk? She's always hated CM Punk for some reason.
Oh yeah, fuck that guy. Fuck that guy. Fuck that guy. Oh,
you're gonna pass out. Go eat your pizza.
Also, So can we talk about Joe? I found out
Oh my
the
God!
other day.
All right, let me give her the headphone.
Wait.
She's not going
Joe,
away,
Joe.
so maybe this will help.
I found out the other day that you can go on a cruise, Jericho cruise.
Yes, she wants to go on the Jericho cruise. By the way,
I'm wearing my mask inside my own
yeah, I don't know
home.
what you're doing, but that's fine.
Sorry, I was wearing my mask inside my own home because you should always mask up. So I found out that
That was the least convincing.
I found out that the Jericho cruise, you get to yell, "Fuck that boat! Fuck that boat!" when other cruise ships come by, and that's all I want to do in my life post-COVID. I'm getting this COVID vaccine so I can get on that Jericho cruise and say, "Fuck that boat."
Listen, I think if you have the vaccine, because a cruise is like the worst place to be on Earth if you
Correct.
don't have a vaccine.
Or ever,
But
or vaccine or no vaccine, but that's fine.
Fair. But listen, I would love to chant "fuck that boat" at another. But I could see where she's coming from.
Yeah.
That sounds like a shit ton of fun.
Sounds amazing. So get that COVID vaccine so we can all go on the Jericho cruise, drink a little bit of bubbly, and chant "fuck that boat," please.
Hell yeah! I like what I'm hearing.
See, you said I didn't sell the vaccine.
Yeah, you sold the
Everyone's
Jericho
getting it
cruise.
now.
You didn't sell the vaccine itself, but you sold the
You
vaccine
need the
for the
vaccine
Jericho
to get
cruise.
on the Jericho cruise.
Fantastic. There
Let's all go because TLB will definitely go to get drunk. There's no question about that. Let's go.
I'm not in love with the cruise idea, but that's fine. Well,
I'm gonna get so motion sickness. We're gonna have to take a lot of Dramamine.
That's a good point. I don't like. I
don't want to go on the boat. We'll let TLB and Michelle go.
I think my motion sickness will go away if I'm excited about yelling "fuck this boat."
Have a good one.
don't know. I get seasick in the bathtub.
Yeah,
So
I
don't know
can't
if
imagine
it's
I do
the
pretty
right
well.
idea
Yeah,
for
people are like, "Oh, it's a big boat. You won't even notice it." And I'm like, but what if I do? And it's like I paid a shit ton of money to go be sick.
See,
like I'm not taking
People
the risk.
say that, but then other people tell me that's bullshit.
Exactly.
You feel that fucker
Right,
rocking,
right.
and that just forget it. I don't want nothing to do with it.
Well, I think people say, "Oh, you're not going to feel it," and it's like, "Well, do you get motion sickness?" And they're like, "No," and I'm like, "Well, you don't know what it's like then. Like, you don't."
Yeah.
You're like, "Oh no, it's fine." Like, well, yeah, for you, it's fine. I'm trying to say that like it's not fine for me. So,
Right. Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, I've been on little rowboats on lakes and gotten seasick.
Yeah,
like
I don't think the Jericho's Rock and Rager cruise is going to be good for you then. So.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Let us know how that vaccine works out. I mean, if she's unresponsive towards the end of the show, make sure.
I think she's okay. The problem is she doesn't eat or drink during the day, and that doesn't help things. So.
Yeah. Well, who's got time for that shit? You know what I mean? It's I don't even know what I'm saying right now. She's probably got plenty of time to eat and drink. What is she doing? Why isn't she eating and drinking?
She was at work all day, so she got the vaccine after work, which is fair. I mean, she wearing the mask and all that shit. Stop talking here. Can you still hear her, even though she's like 3 rooms away
Absolutely.
yelling? Okay.
Yeah. In line for a half hour.
There you go.
I heard her.
Got it exactly.
Fuck were we saying? Oh, the
Something about
English
Dragongate.
commentary.
Yeah. Oh, the English
Final.
commentary. Yes.
Don't, if you were like Rich waiting around for it, don't worry. Listen, it's pro wrestling. Guy on one side of the ring doesn't like the guy on the other side of the ring. It's not fucking math fucking equations, okay? It's guys fighting for titles and stakes. It's pretty simple to figure out, so don't let that be a deterrent. It was a really good show. The main event went sideways, so we obviously have to start off with that. Shun Skywalker successfully defends against Ben K. Ben K knocked out legit by a running elbow, lariat, whatever you want to call it. The Liger fucking gimmick. What exactly was there? Was something along those lines, right? That knocked out Ben K. Some kind of strike, and then it kind of fell apart from there. He was unconscious, and the referee was lost. Skywalker was lost. He proceeded to give him 3 or 4 more offensive moves. He tried to pick him up. At that point, it was very obvious Ben K was unconscious, and Skywalker panicked, and his solution was to go up to the top and deliver a moonsault. We will unpack all of this. These are the events that took place. The video is a little bit scary. Seeing it, I didn't stay up for the main event. I saw the video in the morning, and I was like, holy shit. So first of all, I think Skywalker would have won the match either way. We talked about it last week. I don't think they were going to do a title switch here. So I don't think the knockout affected the booking.
No, I don't think so either.
As far as the way it played out, I mean, I'm pretty consistent with these things. they're, it's real easy from your couch to say what you would do or what they should have done. But in the heat of the moment, in an arena full of people, you're a 24-year-old wrestler, just became world champion of the promotion. You're in the biggest match of your life, trying to be a leader. You're in front of thousands of people. You're on a live pay-per-view. You panic, and you don't know how to handle these things. And the way that Shun Skywalker chose to handle it was to hop back up on the top rope and deliver a moonsault where 90% of his body weight, he overshot Ben K on purpose. He basically landed, with his arms on Ben K's body and his hips and his legs well off of, overshot him. He had to think quick, and he didn't make a great decision. Was it a good decision to deliver that moonsault? No. In the moment, he thought that was the best course of action because I guess he figured I could overshoot on the guy. I don't have to land directly on him. He probably didn't realize he was knocked out when he delivered the other moves because he tries to pick him up.
Yeah, that's the moment. That's the moment that really stuck out to me is that he does the one moonsault, and at that point I think he's like, all right, well, whatever, and then he goes to the pinfall, and then Ben-K doesn't kick out. And it's like, oh, he's really knocked out then. He has, no idea what he's doing. Because sometimes, especially in wrestling, you get the concussion where a guy's, kind of loopy, he doesn't really quite know where he is, but he's at least cognizant enough to know, okay, I'm going to kick out at 2, or this isn't the finish, or whatever. Ben-K was out. Ben-K was in a different universe at that time. And so he finds that out. The referee has to kind of stop his 3 count, and he kind of freezes for a bit, and Shun freaks out. So he goes to try to pick him up, doesn't happen, and then says, and then just runs to the top and does the moonsault, like you said, to kind of the prone body of Ben-K. And it's... like you said, it's really, really difficult to be in, from our couch or from wherever and saying, oh, well, you should have done this or you should have done that. We talk about it all the time. I'm surprised that this doesn't happen more in wrestling. I'm surprised that there's not more injuries in wrestling because when you think about this match and this one particular instance of how many people had to communicate with each other and how many things had to go and be the exact right way to make sure that nothing more happened. I mean, you have the referee's got to know that the wrestler's knocked out. The wrestler has to either tell the referee that he's knocked out, or the referee has to assume that by the wrestler not telling them that he's knocked out, that he is actually knocked out. And all of this is happening while Shun Skywalker has to be doing moves to this guy and doing his finishings, and he can't stop. It's so many things have to be done in a match like this. And I'm not going to sit here and pass judgment on Shun Skywalker. I'm not going to pass judgment on the referee because a lot of shit happens all at once. And it's really easy in hindsight to say, oh, well, you should have stopped the match, or you should have done this. In real time, this all happens in 40 seconds. You know what I mean? Maybe even less than that, to be honest. A lot goes through your mind. A lot happens. You freak out. You're in a big stage. There's an arena full of people. You're supposed to win this wrestling match. This shit is very difficult to get right. So, no, would I have gone for the second moonsault? No, I wouldn't have, but I understand what his thinking was, and I do appreciate that he took that move the absolute best way you can in a way where he made sure that he didn't touch that guy in any way. But yeah, that could have been terrible if Ben K pops up all of a sudden, or if Shun doesn't hit the move as exactly as he did. And yeah, it was, 1, 2, 3 happens, and then people say, oh, they should have stopped the doctor. The second that 3 happens, everybody runs in the ring and tends to Ben K the second that 3 count hits. So I can't rake him over the coals. I can't kill him for that.
Look, Augie and Shun do a bad job here. Yes. What do you want to do? You want to jail him? Want to fire him into the sun? I mean, what do you want to do here? It's the heat of the moment, and yeah, should the ref have done a better job? Yes. Should Skywalker maybe have done a better job? Yes. Maybe. Look, in a perfect world, you recognize that he's knocked out on the running elbow or whatever, and they end the match right there, and it's a win-win because you keep Ben K safe, and it's a cool as fuck finish because now you have a KO finish, right? And that just looks cool, and it comes across cool, and it all makes sense within the context of the match. That's the win-win scenario. But it's not a perfect world. And I do think it should be noted that Ben K has sold like this before. There have been, that's part of his deal. Sometimes,
right. And that's the thing,
he will
again.
Sell
this is a sport where guys pretend like they're hurt.
Yes.
It's not like in basketball where a guy lands on the ground and holds his knee. You can pretty much safely assume that guy's not faking that he tore his ACL, that he actually tore his ACL. It's pro wrestling. The whole goal of pro wrestling is to fake that you're hurt and fake that you're knocked out and fake that you're hit loopy. It is very difficult if you don't know the finish to know what's right and what's wrong and what's a sell and what's not.
Yeah, I mean, and and again, I think they did a bad job. But what are you going to do? These things are going to happen from time to time. No, and he's okay. He seems to be fine. All the official announcements have been downplaying it, and that could be a little bit of they don't want it heat, but I'm going to take them at their word that he's doing okay, and he got his bell rung, man. It's going to happen to everybody on this card at some point. It's going to happen to every pro wrestler at some point. It's not ballet. I hate to use that tired, cliche, but it's not. The moonsault was excessive. Again, as a 24-year-old kid, big spot, he's shitting his pants. Okay, not only because you're taught that the show must go on. That's the other thing. It's pro wrestling. They're all a bunch of dumb jocks. They're taught that the show must go on. A lot of them come from athletic backgrounds. You finish the game. So there's that aspect. And on top of it, okay, he's with all of that on top of all the pressure and everything else, he probably feels terrible when he realized that he knocked the guy out. So he's dealing with a whole range of emotions that you on your couch can't even comprehend. Because he's the one that did this to this man. He doesn't know how serious it is. So you're dealing with this training that you've been ingrained with to make sure that you finish the match and protect kayfabe, and you're dealing with the pressure of a live audience on your second biggest show, or arguably your first or second biggest show of the year. His first world title defense. The company has christened him as their guy, and the ref blew it. He panicked. I don't know what you want done here. It did, we're going to have these same conversations over and over. We've had a million of them over the years. They did a poor job, but I don't know. I understand. I get it. And, we're just fortunate that, he just got knocked out and it doesn't seem to be that serious. And it looks like he's going to be okay. And, I say it every time we come across one of these situations. During the life cycle of this podcast, we have seen and dealt with situations where wrestlers died in the ring, and we will again. It just is what it is, and I'm not trying to be cold. I just try to be realistic about these things, and you would hope that next time, if this sort of thing happens again, they stop it immediately. That's not always going to happen. So it was unfortunate. I as far as the match goes, I thought they were really starting to get cooking.
It was a really good match. Yeah, I watched it knowing that the spot was going to happen, but not knowing when it was going to happen. You know what I mean? So I'm watching it. I'm in. Like this, they're getting me. I'm hooked. I'm ready to go. And then I see, Ben-K bounce off the ropes, and I'm like, oh, is this it? And it was. And I was just like, man, this match was getting so good. Like you could see that they had another, 5-10 minutes of just a really, really good back and forth in them. And it stinks because this was like a star-making performance by both these guys. I thought both these guys carried themselves like stars. Both these guys carried themselves like main eventers. This was a main event, kind of classic Dragongate, main event style match with the culmination of a years long feud between these two. Both guys, the next wave of stars in Dragongate. It had all that going for it. And then, he takes that clothesline and he's out, and it's just like, damn, like all that gone.
They should have a doctor. They should have a doctor at ringside. They're a big enough company where they probably, and they don't. They haven't, and they don't. They didn't hear. So that's a problem. Get the doctor at ringside. But this kind of thing happens everywhere. We just saw it last year in New Japan with Kenta and Ishii, where Kenta got knocked out and they just kept going. We saw it in WWE with Undertaker and Bill Goldberg. Was that this year or last year? I think it was last year. And he just kept going. Even in WWE, where they have a doctor at ringside and they have a policy where they stop a match immediately if somebody gets knocked out. And we've seen them stop matches immediately. Daniel Bryan famously, wanted to fight Triple H when he got back behind the curtain because they stopped one of his matches. Even in a promotion like that, where they do take those extra precautions and have a doctor and aren't afraid to stop a match, just saw last year they were in the same situation that these guys were in here. Or, Goldberg and Undertaker, were in the same nearly identical situation.
What?
So it happens everywhere.
Okay, one sec. The nurse is breaking news. What?
I have additional breaking news.
Yeah.
At the beginning of COVID, Crack sent free cracks out to everybody.
Uh-huh.
All healthcare heroes.
Uh-huh.
I'm using air quotes. And then I got these beautiful teal ones in the mail.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so excited that I wore them to work. And I actually was into Crocs for the first time ever.
All right, let's cut to the chase here.
They're super comfy. Anyway, I wore them for 2 shifts, fell in love with them.
Cut to the
and then
chase.
somebody stole them at work.
That did happen, yes.
So on the same day that I got my COVID vaccine, I received a replacement
well,
pair.
don't write your name on them so nobody steals them this time.
I got a replacement pair of the teal Crocs, Neo Mint color.
Yeah.
And they just came today. So, like Ice-T said, today was a good day.
That was Ice Cube.
Ice-T
So Joe fucked that up too earlier. He mentioned Ice-T when he's talking about Friday. So you guys are both...
Well,
both extremely white.
Right.
So I just want
Rich
to let
dropped.
you all know
I love Rich
Neo
dropping
Mint
a
green
get to the point
Crocs.
toots.
What was in this vaccine that you took?
Maybe some weed.
Yeah, I don't know what's in there.
No.
Go.
No, I was really excited about these, and then they were stolen from
Yes,
me.
so now they're back.
So now, on the cusp of COVID being cured, I received a new pair of Neo Green. I mean, I bought them for myself.
But these weren't free, and that's...
They weren't free. I bought
there.
these.
Yeah,
I bought
right,
these.
right.
They've been sold out also now.
Cool.
Okay, thanks.
Good night. That's my phone. Don't take my
Don't
phone.
touch my shit. Look how nice they look.
They're
with my
fantastic.
scrubs.
My God. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
If she wasn't a nurse, I'd be roasting the fuck out of her for wearing
He's talking
Crocs.
shit about Crocs. You want to get in on
No,
this?
I don't, because one of the doctors at my work told me now I don't need birth control.
He's not wrong.
It's dick
I
deterrent.
don't care because my feet are cozy all day. Keep these bitches.
Also, I love
warm.
Rich. I love how you frame that. He's talking shit about Crocs. I literally said.
I hope I've derailed this conversation.
Yes, you have. Get out of here. Go away. Eat your pizza.
I literally said if she wasn't a nurse.
Yeah, so don't get that vaccine. Wait till the Johnson & Johnson one comes out, I think. Might be the better.
AstraZeneca one's bullshit.
I don't know why you always bury me with the nurse
Because she can't hear you, so it's perfect. So.
Yeah, but here's the thing. That I get that you're like ribbing me, but then it just works against you. Because then if she has angst against me, she's gonna have angst against this dopey podcast.
Oh,
They're gonna give you a hard time.
I love my Croc stories so that you feel like an asshole for trying to censor me.
Who, Joe or me?
Both of you.
Oh, okay. Way to go, Joe. See, this is exactly what you were saying.
See, it's playing out in real time.
Exactly as you predicted.
You gotta be a better politician, you know? Just in case she listens back to this, which she's
She
never
will
gonna do.
definitely not. There's a better chance John Moxley will read our New Japan ebooks than that she will listen to this show. So
I'm not listening to that.
I definitely said I'd bury her if she wasn't a nurse for wearing Crocs.
it's an important distinction.
And-
It was an important
understand
distinction you made. Yes.
Yes, I understand that nurses wear. I love you dropping the get to the point toots in the middle of that too. I enjoyed that. You're like, come on, can we wrap this
She's
up?
got a
Like,
history of
well,
long stories, so
Yeah, that go in many directions.
Pretty concise.
it was because I told you to. Are you still here?
Yeah, I'm waiting for my pizza to come.
Well, Jesus Christ.
Impromptu Michelle calls wrestling.
You're gonna upset Joe.
I think they fucked me up at work, dude.
Yeah, I think they did. Go lay down. Are you just gonna stay in here and fuck around on your phone?
Yeah.
Okay. Joe, talk about Dragongate.
Yeah. So this happens all the time, is what I was getting at, and we can't just keep, whatever. Unfortunate finish to a match that was well on its way to being a great match. So, do you have any other thoughts on Shun Skywalker Benkei?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think it was on its way to becoming a really, really good match and a really kind of a star-making performance for both, and that sucks that it got taken away from them. I mean, it'll come. I mean, they're definitely going to play this up. I think this will be an important thing, and this just adds kind of fuel to the fire in a weird way, and that's how pro wrestling is so stupid that way. But I think in a way it sucks that they didn't get their moment, but I think when they want to go back to this match, when they do go back to this match, it will be important. I mean, now when Shun's about to hit that move, I mean, that will be a big moment when he tries to go for that move or whatever. So, in a weird way, they're gonna make the most out of it, I'm sure. It just sucks that that's the circumstances that, had to occur for it to happen. So
We need to show him knocking him out over and over
Yes.
for eternity.
yeah, once
I mean,
you
they
know that
gotta
Ben K is 100% good and he's fine
Yes.
and he'll be okay, then yes. Pro Wrestling 101 is now that is our thing. We are going to focus on that for months and months and months on end until these guys finally face each other again. Yeah,
you need to show that clip of him getting knocked out every time they wrestle for the next decade until people forget that the match continued after that. You need to do. I also want to just add, Masquerade aesthetic is incredible, especially on a big show. When these guys get in there and their entrance music. Shun just comes off like a fucking dude. He's a guy.
Mm-hmm.
There's guys. He's a guy. He is absolutely a guy.
Got his shoulders. One thing I noticed about him is like his posture is like perfect. He's got those shoulders back. He's standing in front of everybody. It's very clear that he is the leader of this unit. He is the leader of these guys. Yeah, he's got a nice posture. He's got a nice, you can't see his face, but you can tell that he's confident, type stuff. So it's perfect.
It is a superstar aesthetic that they have. This is not Deep Drunkers, okay? This is a superstar aesthetic. That this isn't Windows, whatever other Dragon Gate units over the year. This is a big-time unit with a superstar aesthetic. So I just wanted to add that as well. As far as the rest of the show, people are calling it a show of the year contender. Let's pump the brakes. It was a nice little show. I don't think it was a show of the year contender. Typical Dragon Gate where the first 4 or 5 matches could easily be skipped. They were all fun. I enjoyed every single one of them. Nothing really all that essential and nothing that I would call anything better than okay. The back end of the show, the business end, was very good. Good enough to be show of the year? No. Especially when one half of the main event gets, knocked out and the match doesn't even complete. I mean, I can't call this it's not a show of the year contender, but it's a very good show, and it's a fun watch from start to finish, and I recommend watching the entire thing. It really picks up with the Brave Gate match, which is your boy Okuda, and big match Kagetora does it again.
He did it?
Rich.
Oh, he did. I'm so glad he did it. I'm so glad.
4 stars, easy notebook. I might have went 4 1/4. Let me check. Okuda defeats Kagetora. Big match Kaj does it again. He just, so many convincing near falls because, Kagetora always has those tricky crucifixes and all those tricky pinning combinations that he uses. And those really work well against a guy like Okuda who's supposed to be like a shooter. You know what I mean? So they had great chemistry. I got to tell you, I like this match better than those Okuda Ashita matches that you were going crazy over. So, I thought it was a really great Brave Gate match, and I knew it would be with Kagetora. He always steps up in the big spot.
Yeah, you talk about those pin combos, like they almost every time he hits one of those, I'm always in my head thinking, "Oh, there's no way this guy's going to be able to kick out." Like I'm always thinking in my head, he's going to try to kick out, but not going to be able to because Kagetora's kind of so wrapped up. They always do it though, and Kagetora is good at kind of letting go of it at the exact same time too. He's a fucking master of that. Because you look at how he's tied up, and you're like, "There's no way." Even if he tries to kick out, he can't kick out. But Kagetora is perfect at the two. Like he kicks out when that guy kicks out too to get out of it because he twists you in a knot where you're like, fuck, how's this guy gonna even kick out? Can he kick out? Can he move? It's I love that stuff. And he hits it out of nowhere too. You bounce off the ropes and he's all of a sudden got you in some weird crucifix thing and you're pinned, with your shoulders to the mat. He's awesome. I love him.
Fuji and Mochizuki came up short, unfortunately.
Damn it.
Match was fine. Best you could hope for with Hulk and Kai. It was fine. I mean, it didn't derail the show at all. And there's a risk of that with Modern Hulk, where he can derail the show. He didn't. I mean, it's nothing to write home about, but it was a perfectly acceptable 3-star match. And then the match that everybody's talking about is the 10-man tag elimination unit disband match, which was a shit ton of fun. I mean, this is just Dragon Gate. This is Dragon Gate 101 right here. RED versus Team Toryumon, and Team Toryumon loses and they have to split up. Very emotional, great drama, and so well booked. Eita was the first guy eliminated for Red. What does that tell you, Rich? The focus is on these young kids.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's so right out of the gate they get Eita out of the match. I thought that was brilliant. On the other side, Yoshino is like the first or second guy eliminated. He's retiring next year. He's on the downside. They're not afraid to treat the veterans in this way when they're on the way out. Susumu Yokozuka was another one. He didn't last very long. It came down to Dragon Kid, and Dragon Kid got his mask ripped off. So it kind of had that Desperado vibe from last week where Dragon Kid is out here with the mask hanging off his face and, fighting to keep his unit alive. And then against these cocky young guys, Hip Hop Kakuta, who I finally figured out who he looks like. He looks like Jordan Oliver. Hip Hop Kakuta and Jordan Oliver.
Yeah, he kind of does.
Are the proverbial brothers from another mother. I mean, those guys are like fucking twins. So he's in there with Kakuta and Ashita and SB Kento, of course. And, all the attention at the end of the match was on SB Kento because he's going to be their next guy. And he's going to be a guy, believe me. Comes down the Kid and Kento, and they do the train lariat spots, the classic Dragon Gate train lariat spots where RED are delivering the lariats to Kid. And then Team Toryumon reverses, and then they start doing the lariat spots. Last guy in line, okay, is Stalker. So Stalker's the last guy in line to deliver his lariat. And Kento just kicks him in the face. Stalker. Then he goes to deliver a lariat, but Stalker ducks and he hits a German suplex. Rich, I came unglued. It's the spot of the year. This loser. This guy, nothing ever works out for him. He's a geek. He's the worst guy in the unit. And he hits the big German. And Kid goes for the cover, and it's like a 2.9. Stalker nearly won it for Team Toryumon. What a great fucking moment that was. Who thinks of this stuff? You know what I mean? Like, I never even would have thought about a spot like that. But it was so brilliantly put together. And then, eventually Dragon Kid succumbs and Toryumon loses. And it's just a great match. Well booked. Tons of Dragon Gate. There's guys getting hit in the face with powder and all the usual Dragon Gate bullshit. But it's Dragon Gate. You're going to get that, especially in a match like this. And, the right side won. The right people were booked strong. And what a great way, really, to end the year. Just a fun match. It was just great. So really enjoyed that. And what I would say to you is, definitely go back and watch the whole business end of the card. But I know you enjoy Dragon Gate a lot, so you should just watch the whole thing.
Yeah, I'm planning on it. Yeah, unfortunately, I waited hoping the English because I do love. It's not because I feel like I can't watch Dragon Gate without English. Of course, I've done it for years. I've done it for almost a decade with no English. It's just that I think that they're a really good team. Like I think Jay and Ho Ho Lun are a lot of fun and really interesting to listen to. So I was holding out hope, but yeah, now that I know it's over, I'm definitely gonna watch it this week. It's just unfortunate because we're recording this flagship on a Tuesday. I wasn't able to kind of slide it in or get it in time, but no, definitely gonna check out the whole thing.
All right, so let's take some Dragon Gate calls.
Yeah, we got two up here. So I'm gonna start with Philip. We'll put Philip up here. Long time voice of wrestling listener here. Philip, can you hear us? His mic is on mute, but should be ready in a second here. Let's see. We'll give him a second. All right, Philip, are you there?
Again, it's a pleasure to talk to you, Joe, for the first time.
Yeah. What'd you think of this Dragon Gate show?
He's there, I think. Philip, are you there? Yeah. So you're cutting in and out here real quick. I'm gonna put you down for a sec, or actually, try to talk again and see if we can get things.
Now?
A little bit, yeah. Just if you're talking, we can kind of hear you, but you're cutting in and out a bunch.
Okay, let me just try to figure it out again.
Oh, whatever you're doing is better. Whatever that was, do that.
Okay, all right. So, do you think Dragon Gate is the best this year with New Japan kind of having a down year, All Japan also kind of having a shit year, Noah pretty good, and obviously the junior heavyweight stuff, and then you got DDT, which main card stuff is good, but then the kind of the comedy act, like Toka as a sexual Ronald McDonald who is not for anybody like that people don't like to see. So do you think Dragon Gate is the best Japanese promotion this year? I'm just curious what you guys' thoughts on that.
All right. Thanks for the call. You're cutting in and out, but I think we got the gist of it, so I think we can answer your question.
Yeah, I'll put him down on the thing. So, but yeah, great call. Philip's awesome too. He's called in the Q&As before, so I'm sure it was just his phone signal or something like that. So
yeah, he calls the paywall shows all the time.
Yeah,
Always does a nice job. So his question was, even though he was cutting in and out, Rich, I think he was asking, do we think Dragon Gate is the best Japanese promotion this year? So, okay, from a strict bell-to-bell perspective, I still think it was New Japan because there was just way too much high-end stuff. I mean, when I look at my notebook, it's just littered with New Japan matches. They doubled the next closest promotion. So even though I didn't like a lot of the booking in New Japan, I still think the upper tier match quality in New Japan really couldn't be touched by anyone this year on a consistent basis.
Oh, I 100% agree. Yeah, all complaints aside that we have about New Japan, I mean, yeah, you still have, Wrestle Kingdom, which is littered with, 4-star plus matches and great matches and 2 match of the year contenders. You have the G1, which, that had some really, really good stuff in there too. And a bunch of matches in between that were great as well. So yeah, New Japan, all booking and complaints aside, no, they in ring, they're still the top dog of Japan. But, and I assume there's a but to your conversation as well.
Yeah. I mean, I loved Noah this year. I mean, Noah is giving me what I want in wrestling more than New Japan is in 2020. And the high-end stuff is delivering. They're just not delivering in the mass quantities that New Japan is delivering in. And the undercards tend to be a little messy. The junior situation is just delved into parody.
A lot messy.
With how poorly it's booked. It's just parody at this point. It's impossible to invest in it. Dragongate has been the best booked promotion in Japan, if you want to look at it from that perspective, because I love what they're doing, and especially on the back end of the year. I wasn't super hot on Dragongate during the empty arena era and the early portions of the pandemic.
Yeah, King of Gate. Remember, if you remember correctly, we were all in on King of Gate. We were like, let's go, let's make this a thing, let's get excited about it. And then like the first 2 shows came, we were just like, I don't really love it.
King of Gate was not good.
No, it wasn't, and that hurt because I was ready to be all in. New Japan was not doing it for me. There was not a whole lot of wrestling that was doing it for me, so we were about ready to get all in on Dragongate again, and it just didn't click, and it stunk, and then it got kind of passed up by a lot of other stuff.
Yeah, King of Gate was not good, and I do think the atmosphere was part of it, but not all of it. The matches were very listless, and that could have been because the energy of the crowd to feed off of. But see, Dragongate hasn't had a top-to-bottom great year, I don't think, but they've been so awesome in the back end of the year, and the booking, they're just booking circles around everybody else because they haven't been afraid to push the kids, and if that means beating the veterans, they beat the veteran, and they're not afraid to do it. And I just love that. And we're seeing the results of that. I can't speak on DDT because I don't watch it anymore. A horny Ronald McDonald is not going to entice me into watching it.
That was not quite the best sell job.
That's exactly why I don't watch DDT. I drop in for the hyped main events. I like the Masato Tanaka stuff earlier this year, and I enjoyed that story. He had a great match against Takashita that I loved. But I'm not going to sit there and watch DDT shows. I can't do it. It's too goofy for me. It's not for me. And that's okay. Some promotions aren't going to be for you. I thought Big Japan was pretty good this year. I watched a ton of Big Japan during the pandemic.
Yeah, yeah. They were one of our go-tos for sure.
And Daishi Hashimoto, I mean, a guy who I've picked on for years, he had a really strong, middle portion of the year as champion. And there was a lot of good stuff in Big Japan this year. Yuya Aoki and Nomura and some of those guys, the Astronauts tag team, and so there was a lot of good stuff in Japan, and I think we kind of get bogged down in talking about the booking in New Japan a lot of the time, but New Japan in ring, I mean, just compare the G1 to King of Gate. I mean, there's no comparison, and that's a year where one block of the G1 shit the bed. It was really a one block year for the G1. It still blew away something like King of Gate. So, it's New Japan's still the best in ring, but I really think Dragon Gate's booking has been the best. And I think, and oddly enough, I've enjoyed Noah probably, the most of the three, at least in terms of what they do with the top of the card. Yeah,
and one thing I'd say about Dragon Gate, and the reason why I'm right now really, really into Dragon Gate is the ability to kind of, and if you've ever listened to this show, if you listen to the Voice Wrestling Flagship through all these years, one thing we love is like structure and hierarchy in wrestling and like a clear idea of who's moving up and who's moving down. But we also love like when you are pushing young talent and when you say, you know what, these are our next guys and we're going to push them to the moon and we're going to do that. That is always going to be what you and I love about pro wrestling. It's something that I love more than anything in pro wrestling is when a young guy or young guys or a young unit or a young group or just a whole company-wide directive to push new talent, push young talent. That is some of my favorite stuff. And Dragongate is doing it with an embarrassment of riches right now. Just an absolute ungodly embarrassment of riches. And there's guys they haven't even shown yet. There's guys potentially under masks in units right now. They're going to run, some, I don't even know if they're going to go on, appear on TV, but they're running like a kind of a developmental TV thing. They announced it over this week. I forget the exact terminology, but like they have an embarrassment of riches. There's not enough space on their card to push all the young guys they want to push, and that gets me energized and gets me excited because nothing in Porto I love more than young guys or young lions kind of graduating and moving up the ladder. It's stuff that I absolutely love.
You got to get your Daisuke Sakamoto "I'm Hard" T-shirt when you watch Dragon Gate. It's got you excited.
Right.
All right.
We got one more call. You want to jump in here with the one more Dragon Gate call here?
Let's take another Dragon Gate call and then move on to ROH Final Battle.
Yeah, let's do that. So this is Sobchak. I don't know if I ever pronounced that correctly. I feel bad every time I do it, but I believe it is Sobchak is how you pronounce it. But Sobchak, what's going on? Oh, he's still on mute. There he is. He's off mute. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, hey guys, how's it going?
What's up? How are you?
What's up, man?
I just wanted to talk about SB Kento a little bit because the unit disband match is probably my match of the year.
Did he cut out for you, Joe?
Yeah, he's gone. That's okay. We get the idea. Wait, I think he's back.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yeah. If by the way, for people in the future, if you're going to use Discord, the Discord on the phone kind of stinks. So try to use it on a computer if you can. But
gotcha. Basically, I was wondering if you think he's ready for a run as a top guy or as a run as a Dreamgate champ, because it kind of seems like he is to me, and I was just curious for your thoughts.
All right, thanks for the call.
Yeah,
so
thanks,
let's
man.
talk about
Appreciate it.
SB Kento and whether he's ready for the top run. Well, look, what's the rush? Okay, Shun Skywalker, I think, is 24 years old. NK just got elevated last year, and he's still in his 20s. Hasn't even had his 30th birthday. SB Kento is 20 years old.
I was going to say, I think he's like...
Yeah, it's like...
it's disgusting. He was born in the year 2000. Oh, my God.
Born in the year 2000.
February 6th, 2000. Joe, I imagine the memories that you have of February 6th, 2000. Like, what were you doing in the year 2000? I'm trying to think.
Okay, I could tell you exactly
what
I
were
was
you doing exactly
on.
in February 6th, 2000 when SB Kento was born.
I can tell you exactly what I was doing on that day. Watching the Rams beat the Titans in the Super Bowl.
Oh my God, is that the day?
Was that on February 6th? It was either the 4th or the 6th.
I mean, you would know of anybody, definitely. But let me see. Rams Titans Super Bowl. Let us find out. That was on January 30th, 2000.
Okay.
Goddamn liar.
Close enough.
You're at the parade. You're at the parade. You're still partying from it. So.
We're still partying hard with the Rams Super Bowl victory over the Tennessee Titans. Mike Jones tackling Kevin Dyson on the 1 yard line, Rich, on the final play of the game. Why didn't the Titans throw the ball into the end zone?
I don't know. I still to this day have no idea how that play happens. Why would you call it? Yeah, well, all right. What's it to the goal line? 15. All right, cool. Yeah, run a 12-yard slant. Like what?
Now, to be fair, it took an incredible tackle to keep him 1 yard shy of the end zone. But why not eliminate that possibility and at least throw the ball into the end zone? Doesn't that drive you nuts? It's 3rd and 12, and they run like a 8-yard curl route.
Yeah.
It's like, what are we doing here? As far as SB Kento, he's 20 years old. He let Shun Skywalker, who looks like he's absolutely the good, stretch his legs a little bit. Ben K is not going anywhere for the next 10 years. And then, look, it's clear that SB Kento, very clear actually, that among this group of 10 to 12 young wrestlers that they have, is the one that they're highest on. You could just tell by the way he's booked. He's scoring falls over these veterans left and right. He's the focus of matches like this unit disband match that we just saw. So he's slotted ahead of these guys right now. And you don't have to worry about him in terms of whether they're going to keep. The only thing that's going to stop him is an injury, a debilitating injury, or a bad attitude, something like that. Otherwise, it's full steam ahead. So you got to be a little patient, I think, because you just moved Shun Skywalker into that spot. If you quickly move this guy into the spot, say, 2 to 6 months from now or whatever, blurring the optics there. You got to let the first guy get over completely. Especially, we still don't have full fans and things like that. Before you start to push on the next guy, you start pushing everyone at once. You're not pushing anybody. So he's 20. He will get there for sure. I'm confident he'll get there. Unless one of those two things I talked about occur.
Yeah, and I think the cool thing about what's going on in Dragongate now is, like, and you talked about during the US unit disband match, is RED has got an embarrassment of riches of young guys as well. I mean, they have a lot of really good guys they can move up and work through. So yeah, you one by one have guys leave and guys, and Eita, if he's going to continue to be the leader, he maybe a few guys leave here and there and whatever. But you're building it to the big moment where SB Kento turns on him, or or Eita turns on SB Kento or whatever. But yeah, there's no need to have that happen now. There's no need to have it happen in a year. I mean, you have plenty of time with this guy who's 20 years old. So Joe, unfortunately on this Wikipedia, he's either born on February 6, 2000 or April 6, 2000. They list both as his birthday, which is quite confusing. So, because I was going to tell you on February 6, 2000, Joe, you were either watching the NHL All-Star Game, where MVP Pavel Bure from the Florida Panthers, or more importantly, you were watching the NFL Pro Bowl from Aloha Stadium.
I wasn't watching either of those things.
I don't think in my life I've ever watched the Pro Bowl or the NHL All-Star Game once ever. Even by accident, I don't think I've watched any of those.
Have you even channel flipped to an NFL Pro Bowl in the last 5 or 6 years?
I did watch. I watched like 4 minutes of one, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and the score was like 77-65, and like it was so weird. And I was just they like cut to the crowd, and I'm like, "Who are you people? Why are you here? Like, what are you doing?" None of the good players play. Nobody plays not even an attempt of defense. Not even a slight attempt to run into another guy. It was completely not even happening on this.
Which I have news for you. They don't even tackle anymore.
Is it serious? Is it like actually a flag football game?
Like, you can tackle, but at the first hint of contact, they quickly blow the whistle.
Oh dear God!
So there's hardly even tackling in the game anymore.
What are we doing? Come on.
Why don't they just have a skills competition?
That'd be great. Pump pass kick. Let's go back to a pump pass kick. That'd be fantastic.
The old quarterback challenge, whatever the fuck. Like, do a skills competition. It's fucking wild. But no, I never watched that shit. I'm not the only All-Star game I watch. I watch the MLB All-Star game, and I used to watch the NBA All-Star game, but I've kind of fallen out on that as well. I'm not big on.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm obviously a devoted NBA fan or whatnot. I watch, like, I don't know, 20 minutes of the All-Star game, and I'm just kind of like, all right, I get it. I'm kind of
got a taste in it.
Yeah. Like I like the theatrics of the Saturday, the dunk contest, the 3-point competition, all that sort of stuff. Like you said, the skill stuff is cool. It's a bunch of the best guys in the league doing fun stuff, and some young stars doing stuff. But then the All-Star game happens, and 20 minutes in, after the ninth, alley-oop, I'm like, all right, I think I get it. But MLB All-Star Game, that is a first pitch until the final pitch. I watch every minute of the MLB All-Star Game. That is still the one that feels most like it's an actual game still.
Yes, it at least feels like a get right, because you can't really treat baseball like you treat football or basketball, where you don't, or hockey for that matter, where they don't check. Baseball, you still have to pitch and swing and catch the ball and throw it to first base.
Yeah, it's really hard to try less. If you try less in baseball, like, you essentially nobody gets a hit, and nobody. It's like you can't try that much less in baseball. You have to give a modicum of effort to do it, and that's, I think, what helps the game a lot.
Yeah, for sure. The only person on the baseball field who can try less is the pitcher, and he doesn't want to get bombed. He doesn't want to get embarrassed. What is in it for the pitcher? To throw 86-mile-per-hour fastballs and groove them down the middle for Mike Trout. Nothing, except embarrassment. So it's the one game they play. I just struggle with sports that don't count. I never watch preseason anything. I don't watch spring training baseball or preseason football or preseason basketball. If it doesn't count, I feel like I'm wasting my time. I don't know. Maybe it's a me thing. Yeah. Are you into the preseason sports?
No. I watch a little bit of preseason NBA just to, like, see, like, a rookie. Like, that's the only thing I watch is I want to see the first, appearance of a rookie. Like, on my, for the Bulls, it was like Patrick Williams, who they drafted this year. I wanted to see, because the thing that's awesome about NBA preseason and NBA draft picks is you can tell a guy is gonna be good or he belongs in like 5 minutes. Because you see, and it's like, oh, okay, he can dribble, and he doesn't look like he's completely overwhelmed. And then you see, like, you know, some random number 2 overall pick, and he's like dribbling over himself and getting the ball stolen, and he can't even run, and he looks like he's small, and you're like, oh, that guy's gonna be terrible. Like the best part about basketball is like you could just see it immediately. Like this guy's gonna be good or this guy's gonna be bad, and that I really do enjoy. And then but I watch like 10 minutes of it, and then I'm done. But yeah, other than that, no, I'm not watching any. Like spring training baseball, I always think I'm gonna get into spring training baseball, and I really don't. It's fine, but
I always think I watch like the first Reds game, and I'll sit down and watch. Rich, a half inning in,
I'm already kind of looking. Yeah, like everybody thinks it's gonna be really fun to see. Like, oh, it's number 97. And it's like, and you're like, I'm never gonna see this guy ever again. Like, why do I don't care. Like,
I can't get it to me. Yeah, I'm an inning and a half in. I'm out. I can't watch it because it doesn't mean anything. I need those stakes. That's why I can't invest in WWE. It all comes back to wrestling.
Right. Michael Horgan's call. Yeah.
So Ring of Honor's back. Final Battle, which was taped, I don't know, 6 months ago. When did they tape this?
I have no idea. I have no clue when they taped it, but
definitely a few weeks ago, right? Didn't they tape it like because wouldn't have Dragon Lee have been cutting it close, getting it back from Japan?
Yeah. They had because they had guys in bubbles a few weeks ago, so I'm assuming that's when they did it. I don't remember exactly when it was taped, but definitely it would have been Covenant. Pretty close. So Wikipedia says December 10th is when they recorded it and then aired it on December 18th. But that, I don't know, that seems a little tight too. So I don't know. I'm not sure.
All right. Well, if you want to talk Final Battle, you can hop in line now. I'll run down the card quickly. The problem overall that I had with Final Battle was it had the atmosphere of Impact where it was just, you know what this felt like? This felt like Impact with good wrestling is what it felt like. So I really struggled with the atmosphere because Impact's atmosphere is the shits. So, like MLW is piping in. Have you watched any Fusion yet? Or not?
I have not. Yeah, I keep forgetting to watch it, but I don't know.
They're piping in like the ambiance of a crowd. They're not piping in cheering and booing. It's like a quiet murmur, and it helps a lot. Other promotions, we know the strategies they're trying. I still think the best thing to do is put wrestlers or extras at ringside, like AEW, like what Dynamite was doing and is still doing. When they were doing before, they couldn't have any fan. That's to me the best method. Dragongate did that. All Japan did that. Having no one at ringside and just 2 wrestlers in a ring, it's rough. It's hard. And the wrestling on this show was good, but it wasn't good enough to make up for the atmosphere for me. And there really, to me, was no great matches on this show. There were a couple of good ones. A shockingly good match, and I really thought the best match on the show for me was the Pure title match with Jonathan Gresham versus Flip Gordon. And I wondered if Flip Gordon could work the style. And he actually more than held his own.
Yeah, he was really good. I watched the final 2 matches of the show, and yeah, I was shocked. That match was really good. I really liked that.
It's my favorite match in the show.
Yeah. Oh no doubt. It blew the main event away, and the main event was fine. The main event was more of a story than an actual wrestling match to me. I mean, there was some good stuff. There were some spots here and there, but no, I thought Gresham and Flip Gordon was like really really good wrestling.
Yeah, and a creative finish with the referee stoppage, and and they worked to the stip. See, with the Pure matches, because there was a Pure tag team match earlier in the night too. With the Pure, was there a Pure match, or was that?
There was a Pure tag match. There was a Pure tag. It was on the pre-show though, so I met you as a man who does his work. You, I'm sure, watched the Foundation versus Fred Yehi and Wheeler Yuta. It was Tracy Williams and Rhett Titus.
That's what it was.
The Romantic Touch, formerly known as the Romantic Touch, and formerly known as ROH, like 20-year veteran at this point. So,
let me tell you something about Rhett Titus. Okay, for whatever reason, I'm comforted by him because he reminds me a completely different bygone era of this company, and he's kind of the last link. I mean, I know the Briscoes are there. When I see Rhett Titus, it kind of reminds me, oh yeah, it's just Ring of Honor. Is that weird? Because he's been there since not day one, like 2005, right?
Yeah,
Or
2006 is actually. I just wanted to look it up just to make sure because I saw him in dark matches even before he was on the main show. Yeah, the first dark match he has against Shane Hagedorn on January 27th, 2006.
Yeah, so I mean, it's like he's a lifer there, but my point about the pure matches is they're really trying hard to establish it, so they're really overdoing it with the application of the rules. In other words, in every match, both guys use up all their rope breaks. In every match, somebody throws a punch and they get the warning. Like, eventually they're going to have to peel back from that. They're overdoing it, and you got Riccoboni screaming about it because they're trying to teach the audience the rules of these matches. So I do think the pure matches were a bit overdone in terms of hammering home with the subtlety hammer kind of what the rules are. But the Gresham-Gordon match just worked much better than I thought it was going to. I think you nailed the main event. Rush successfully defends the title. That was 16 minutes to get to, Bestia El Ring coming down.
Yeah.
And it was to get to the story. So, look, if it took giving their old man a job to keep these guys,
do it. Yeah, go for it.
Do it. Why wouldn't you do it? I mean, because otherwise, we talked about it. You're going to let Rush and Dragon Lee walk after getting nothing out of them and paying them for a year. Now you get another year to do the push that you were planning on doing this year. They both retained their titles. Dragon Lee had a really good match against Tony Deppen. Deppen, the surprise winner of the 4-way, at least a surprise to me, but you called it.
I called it. Yeah. I always thought, they've been doing some. They've been, just following them on Twitter and seeing stuff. It felt like Deppen was a guy who might be hanging around with that company for a bit. So, which is a good spot for him, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that's the perfect landing spot for him. I would love to get him off of these grimy indies and somewhere where he can work with people at his level and have a little bit of direction. So yeah, hopefully he sticks around. But yeah, if to keep these guys, if you got to bring in their old man, you should fucking do it. I know he's a meme, and there's potential for this to be bad, but I mean, if that's what it took, if that was the sticking point in a negotiation, to me, it's a no-brainer. The other top stuff, Shane Taylor and Jay Briscoe was fine. The Danhausen match was exactly what you'd think it would be. I'll say this. I really think the Danhausen act works better in this environment. I know it sounds weird. I know this is a promotion where they have pure matches and it's like more serious in-ring. But he acts as a diversion and something different here, as opposed to meme act number 17 on a BLP show, where you're just inundated with this shit match after match. Here, he's something different. And as long as he's restricted to the prelims, I don't have a problem with it. They present him different. Like it's hard to explain, but the production changes when he does his entrance to sort of meet his. It's hard to. You have to see it. Mm-hmm. I can't explain it. But yeah, I mean, the match was way too long. They could have done the match in 2 minutes. They did 10. And Mike Bennett's back, and I like the Righteous. I like Vincent. Balloon Guy is still my guy. And I think Bateman's
you're ride or die with Balloon Guy. I like it though.
I like Balloon Guy. I think there's something to him. I mean, he's a nice look. I'm not saying you put your world title on him. He's a nice mid carder. I'm sticking with Balloon Guy and Ray Horace, Dalton Castle. I mean, Dalton Castle time off didn't help him. He's still broken shell of a man. And then Lethal and Gresham successfully defended the tag titles against the makeshift team of Mark Briscoe and PCO. So I forgot PCO existed. Until this show, I forgot the man existed. So that was that. And that was Final Battle. It was a hard watch because it was way too long. It was 4 hours long. 4 hours long.
Was it really?
From pre-show to main event, yeah. And, there was no fans, and it's the dry atmosphere. Man, if this were a neat and tidy 2.5 hours, I mean, that's where they need to live right now. 2.5 hours. They don't need to be 4 hours long. But they just came back and they're trying to get, all their
trying to get
stories
everybody on the show. They're trying to tell story. I get it. I understand. But yeah, there's just, especially if you're going to do the warehouse wrestling style where you're not going to have fans, you're not going to be at a venue, you're not going to have video, you're not going to be outdoors. If you're doing warehouse wrestling, 2 hours, man, 2 hours, 2.5 hours, get in and out. It's hard. It's a hard watch. I did not know it went 4 hours. That's pretty wild. Yeah, there's no need for that.
So with a couple of minutes left in the show, we'll do open phone lines. We'll open it up. Any topic you want to talk about. If you want to talk about ROH Final Battle, if you want to talk about TLC or Dragongate or anything else in the world of wrestling, try to keep it to current events if you can. You can hop on now.
What about Christmas? Can they call about Christmas?
I guess so. I mean, I got all my shopping done like I said I would.
So you did? Okay. A lot of people were worried after the show that you were not aware of the current shipping times and the delays in stuff, but everything's gotten to where it needs to get to. It's wrapped up. It's ready to go. Or do people just get an Amazon box from Joe Lanza and just open it and then that's their gift?
It took me 15 minutes. I went on Amazon, clicked here, clicked there, had everything sent. It all got here, and there you go. I don't wrap anymore either. You know what I do? I've discovered a gift bag. And I just throw everything in the bag.
You're a gift bag guy. Yeah. I used to abuse the gift bag, and Michelle is not a gift bag fan. She wants me to wrap it. So now what I do, I troll her by I do a gift bag, but then I wrap the gift inside the gift bag just to troll her a little bit. Because
that's funny.
Yeah, I don't know if she could hear, but what I do, the other day I put one out, and she's like, fucking bag, come on. I'm like, well, just wait and see. She is not into the gift bags. So, but I understand the point of the gift bags. It saves an ungodly amount, because there's nothing worse than wrapping gifts. I'm terrible at it. Everybody knows I'm terrible at it. They get my gift and they go, "Oh, you're terrible at wrapping." I know. That's why I give you gift bags,
Yeah.
Sitting here dopey with a fucking scissors and my tape. Get out of here! I'm not spending my time doing this bullshit.
Yeah. No, listen, the Amazon's incredible. I mean, you get the shit like the next day. I mean, what a phenomenal site. What's the link for Amazon, Rich?
Well, if you are a way late shopper, way too late in the game here, voicesofwrestling.com/Amazon is the link there, voicesofwrestling.com/Amazon. So if you fucked up and somehow completely forgot, I don't know if you're getting it anymore. Well, if you get a Prime, if there's an item that's on Prime, you might still be able to get it. But maybe you have to repent for fucking up on Christmas so you can buy something after Christmas as well. But voicesofwrestling.com/Amazon is the link to use.
If you're listening live, you'll get it.
Yeah, if you're on delay on the podcast feed, you're fucked. So
certain items, you gotta be they'll tell you, when you click the item, it'll say will arrive before Christmas, and some of them don't say that. So you just don't
buy those. Shit. Yeah, you're not buying that shit because you don't want to come after Christmas. It's no good. Nobody wants that. So
just buy something else.
All right, you ready for a caller here?
Let's take a call.
Let's do a call. We got Danny on the line. Danny, how's it going, man?
Hey guys, how you guys doing today? Thanks for all the support, by the way.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, sorry to hear about your grandmother, but glad to hear you're doing well.
I'm doing real well. I really appreciate it. My question more leans in the lines of classic wrestling, of course, because everything that I've been watching recently has been classic wrestling. Because of what I do, obviously, I have to pay for the plug, but I am more of a sense of urgency guy when it comes to wrestling. I sort of asked this question to Rich on a Q&A previous, but I wanted Joe's opinion on this. What do you look for when rating a match?
All right. I could answer that for you. Thanks for the call. Merry Christmas.
Thank you, guys.
Have it going, Danny. Take care, man.
I don't really look for specific things. I just watch the match and then a number pops in my head. I wish I had a more creative answer, but I watch a match. I'm not really thinking about it. I mean, towards the end of the match, sometimes I'm thinking to myself, oh, this has a chance to, crack the notebook, or this has if this ends well, this could be a 5-star match. But most of the time I just watch a match. And then when the match ends, I get a feeling. I think to myself, that's a 2-star special, or about 3.5. Or see, a lot of times I'm not even rating matches. I'm even thinking about a rating unless I know the match is great. Then I start to think about the rating. If I'm just watching Dynamite or Raw or some random. I mean, I'm not even I'm not thinking about rating the Best Friends versus Jurassic Express match that I'm watching, unless it happens to be great. Then I start thinking about, all right, well, how great was it? But if it's not, and I'm not doing a review, I don't sit there after every match and say, oh, was that 2.5 or 2 3/4? I don't do that. Do you do that, Rich?
I don't. Yeah, I'm the same way. A match ends and I just think, that's 5 stars, or that's 3 stars, or that's 4. Like 5 is tough because that's like, to me, it has to be. It's like, oh, was that a 5 star? And like, that's the only time I really ever truly think of a match rating is if I'm going to go 5 on it, and I say, okay, is that a 5-star match? Do I think that right now in this moment, if I have to put 5 stars on it, do I believe that? Do I feel it? Am I just saying it to say it? And if I go through all those checks and I say, yeah, no, it's still 5, then yeah, it's just easy to make it a 5 or whatever. But yeah, more times than not, I watch a match and I just go, yeah, I enjoyed the hell out of the match, 3.5 stars. And that's as much thought as I put into it. Some people, I think people think that we're those people because we talk a lot. We talk about ratings a lot. We talk about our ratings a lot. You talk about your notebook, all that sort of stuff. But I really don't think we're that serious about it. Whereas like you read some people and they're like, well, I was going to give it 3.5 and then they did this. So then I made it a 3. I'm like, I don't never think of that. It's just like when it's over, I just, whatever number pops in my head and that's it. And what that leads to is sometimes there's matches that like I look back at and I'm like, God, that 4 stars. I didn't really like that match all that much. Or, hey, I like this match a lot better. And I gave that match 3.5 and I gave that match 4 because I don't really have like a set criteria or a set list or whatever. So yeah, it results in some matches maybe being ranked, not where I'd probably have them if I really sat down and thought about it for a while, but that just seems boring. I'm not going to spend all my time sitting down, and I'm especially not, as you said, going to watch old wrestling or watch, TV wrestling and give a rating to something like that. Like for the purposes of like the Patreon, I will give star ratings on like these old Best of the Super Juniors or whatever that I'm watching. But more times than not, I'm popping on the network and watching some random fucking old pay-per-view. I'm not sitting down and going, oh, this Rick Martel versus, oh, that was a 3.5 star match. It's like, no, I just watch it. You know what I mean? And sometimes that's better just to sit back and enjoy it.
Yeah. I do think, there's certain elements that, there's some matches, and I think we just talked about this, or at least I did when we did our guest spot on Omakase over the weekend. I don't know if that show has dropped yet. But
not yet, but pretty soon.
And it'll be out there soon. And I think we kind of talked about this topic, or at least I did towards at some point on that podcast. But there are certain elements that give certain matches advantages.
Sure, it's what you like. Yeah, what the stuff you like or the things. Yeah, that's always going to rank.
Well, investment is always going to matter. Is always going to be super important. I mean, I can parachute into Stardom, watch some match that everybody's raving about. It's going to be harder to impress me because I have zero investment and don't know anything about it coming in. Now, the match can still be great. The match can still have a 5-star ceiling. It's going to have to do it solely and entirely on the work because the investment isn't there. So investment is super important. The other thing is, fairly or unfairly, a big time world title main event, big, on a big show in front of a big crowd type of match is going to inherently have advantages over, the third match out of the curtain on an indie show with 76 fans. That doesn't mean the third match out of the curtain on the indie show can't be better than the world title main event, but it's fighting an uphill battle because all of those things matter. Stakes, environment, crowd, heat, investment, and the less of those things that you have working for you, the harder it is to be a truly great match, right? But it doesn't mean that you can't be. It means it's harder to get there. All of those things influence what I'm going to rate a match as well. But, it's at the end of the day, though, it's like I said, I don't have a formula. It's just a feeling. And, Dave Meltzer has said this before. He says the match ends, he has a feeling, he writes it down, and he never thinks about it again. It's just, what was it in that moment? Now, I will say this. There's times where I watch a match. Which is amazing
because everybody always thinks about Dave's ratings constantly. You know what I mean? Like, people are obsessed with them. And it's like, you're going nuts and you're screaming on Twitter for weeks on end, and this dude doesn't care at all. He just puts a rating down and then moves on.
He doesn't remember ratings he gives. Like, people ask him, He's like, he doesn't remember. Like, he doesn't even remember what he rates certain matches. But what was I going to say? I lost my train of thought. But yeah, so that's kind of like that's my match rating theory, I guess, is that I don't really have one, even though there's obvious factors that are going to give a match an inherent advantage or disadvantage.
All right, so we'll go to Michael here. Put him on the line in a second. Michael, what's going on? I believe he's on mute for a second. But Michael.
I gotta give him a second. You know what it is? They have that slight delay before they get on.
It's fair. We let him. We'll
hey, wait a minute. This guy was on already.
Well, he's double dipping. I made sure he buried you. So maybe he's coming for another. Yeah, I'll let him double dip. It's Christmas. It's fine.
I also wanted to say, Joe, that we do appreciate the fact that you joined that 1.5 million and fall on that particular grenade for all of us.
Look at this brown noser. Tell him off.
Not only is this guy double dipping and coming on again, he's continuing the same conversation.
He's got a story. He's telling stories out here. I like it. I appreciate it. Callbacks.
No, actually, just a quick question that I know you've both talked about how New Japan is now a heel heat promotion. Do you have more hope for the Empire since they have been winning these matches clean on these Korakuens? Or do you think the minute that it's time for Ospreay to be in the main event, they're just going to be looking like Bullet Club looks now when it comes to the main event and right back to heel heat?
All right. I'm glad you asked that. And thanks for the call, because I did watch the 2 Korakuens from the last couple of days. And I was very encouraged by what I saw, because Rich, Empire hardly ever cheating to win these matches.
Really? Okay. That's good. I like that.
There's very little of that. There's been almost none of it. There's been none of it in a lot of their matches. There was none of it really in the World Tag League. There was none of it in the first match where Ospreay came back. So that's encouraging, because I feel like New Japan has enough wrestlers and enough units that are centered around shenanigans and cheating, and they don't need them all to be that way. You can be a heel simply by being an asshole. And I think that the Empire is getting over the idea that they're pieces of shit just fine without using cheap heat to achieve that. It's Jeff Cobb is wrestling like a heel. Okan is so obviously a heel. Will Ospreay is cutting heel promos, and they're attacking Tanahashi with a chair after these matches. They got him again on the first Korakuen show. They attacked Tanahashi again, and Okada is checking on Tanahashi in the post match. The Empire music is playing. And that little shit, Ospreay, sneaks back into the ring.
I saw a gif of it, and it looked fucking awesome.
Yeah, incredible. I mean, he just sneaks back into the ring like a snake and hits a hidden blade on Okada. And then this great camera shot of Tanahashi and Okada, both the 2 most iconic stars in the company, both laid out, knocked out, on their ass, left laying by Empire. That's all you need. That makes them heels. Shit like that. You don't need B. Priestley tripping people from the outside or guys hopping up and using garrote wire. You don't need it. So, very encouraged by that.
Yeah, just be shitheads. Just be shitheads.
Just be shitheads.
It's not hard. Be shitheads. Okan is from what I've seen, he's like cutting his promos on the ramp because the crowd's quiet and he doesn't have. But he's just a shit talker. He's just talking shit. Ospreay's being an asshole, running in the ring, beating guys up after the match. Jeff Cobb's just wrestling like an asshole. Yeah, just be shitheads. That's all that you need to be. You don't need garrote wires. You don't need run-ins. You don't need matches. And I don't get it. I just don't get why they decided to go on this path they did with Evil and some of the other guys on this roster when you can just do it. So yeah, to his question, do you think that once they move Ospreay up, that they go to that, or do you think this establishes pretty early on that that's not going to, because Bullet Club's been this way since almost day one. I mean, this has been the entire point of Bullet Club, is that they were chicken shit assholes that ran in and did that sort of stuff. Do you think though that when Ospreay gets pushed that they will keep what they're doing right now, or do you think they'll turn on it and start making him a chicken shit?
I don't know, but I don't trust them. I mean, that's my honest answer. I don't know. I hope they're not a cheating unit, but I don't trust New Japan.
Yeah.
They're just, it's a heel heat promotion now. We were warned before this all happened that they were going to lean harder into this, and it has played out exactly that way. The people in charge believe in it, so I don't trust them. So we'll see. I mean, it tends to be cyclical with the different units. Like, Dangerous Techers are clearly positioned as the baby faces in their matches at the Dome, especially if you've watched the Korrigans. And they're in Suzuki Gun. There are Suzuki Gun acts right now that are sort of baby faces in the current cycle. It's based on how things, Bullet Club are firmly heels, Empire are firmly heels. Suzuki Gun is kind of like a murky one. I mean, they're still obviously heel leaning. But Techers are being treated like baby faces in this feud with Guerrillas of Destiny. So when things tend to shift and move around, we'll see how they handle Empire long term. It always has to be a concern and, something that you keep at arm's length. So I don't know the answer to that. I don't have a good feel for it, but the early signs are encouraging.
Yeah, that is good. That so far they've kept it away. I would think that if that's what you're going to establish, that you're going to stay that way. And I think there's enough heat with those guys that you don't necessarily. I don't know. I mean, to the point that I made, like Bullet Club from day one. It was always that kind of stuff. Even going back to the Finn Balor days, or Prince Devitt rather, it was that sort of stuff. And then AJ we talked about with the Udro thing, and they never got away from that. That was kind of always Bullet Club's thing, and then it grew, and then obviously Suzuki Gun started doing it more and more, and more units started to do it. But I am encouraged though that they haven't done that so far with them, and like I said, I can't trust. I can't tell you right now on this day. There's no chance in hell that they're going to start doing that. Like I have to be proven that they're not going to do it, but it is encouraging that they haven't stooped to that low already, especially in this year where it seems like they've leaned so heavily on that. To not do that with the Empire seems to a sign to me that obviously they're going to treat them with a little bit more care, and they realize that getting them over is going to be a lot better if they're just shitheads as opposed to cheating heels or whatever, which is always true, by the way. But sometimes other companies have decided not to do that. So.
Yeah, so that's it. We're pretty much out of time.
We are pretty much done here. Yeah, we got a couple minutes. Real quick, I was going to ask you. I asked you on Thanksgiving about this as well. What is on the menu? Because, Joe, you're a cook, a connoisseur. What is on the Christmas menu for One Joe Lanza?
Making a ham.
Okay, classic ham. Do you do it? Do you just grab the bag of whatever fucking glaze they gave you? Or do you make your own thing? Because that was my question. Because we have you do make your own. So we have a bag of some bullshit glaze and that's sitting in.
That works just the same. I mean, because what's going to be in the bag? It's going to be the shit that you're going to use to make your own anyway.
I think so. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't buy it, but I'm just like, what is this? Like, come on, you're not going to make your own glaze? And she's like, no, it's just like whatever. We never host Christmas, by the way. I usually go places for Christmas. Christmas Day we go to her parents' house. This is the first time that we're having Christmas Eve here. So I'm a little nervous about this ham that I've never cooked a ham before. I never cooked like a full-on ham before by myself. So I was a little nervous. So I was going to ask you some tips.
Why don't you just get one of those spiral hams that's pretty much cooked already that you're just heating up?
I think that's what we got here. I don't know.
Well, then listen, there's no reason to be nervous because that's basically just heat and eat. Like, you know what I mean? Those are like designed for people who aren't sure how to cook a ham because you just have to stick it in the oven until it's warm. The only danger with that is not overcooking it, so you should be fine. And yeah, the glaze that comes in those packets, I mean, that's just going to be the same brown sugar / whatever that you're going to use if you're going to make your own anyway. So, I mean, I'm not a big ham guy, so that's why it's like, it doesn't really, you could use it doesn't make a difference.
Mm-hmm,
I mean, to me, because I'm not, I would never cook a ham unless it was Christmas. And, TLB wanted ham, so I'm making a fucking ham. You just keep your wife happy.
I love it. The passion of making the fucking ham. Yeah. Well, if you had your choice, what would you make on this day? Would you go with Italian? Would you go with another turkey? Like, what would you do if it wasn't TLB's choice, just to have a fucking ham?
Well, the traditional Italian Christmas is 7 fishes. I don't know if you know anything about that.
I'm interested, though. So,
if you Google it real quick, it's just Italians, their gimmick on Christmas is the Feast of the 7 Fishes. So most, it's supposed to be 7 particular fish, but most people just pick their own, and it kind of gets extended out. Like a lot of people will cheat. They'll do shrimp and clams and stuff like that, and crab, and count that as a fish.
This looks incredible. Man, I wish
the Feast of the 7
Italian.
Fishes.
This looks a lot better than the bullshit I have to eat on Christmas usually, so.
Yeah, so there have been years I've done that, but at the same time, I'm not real great at cooking fish.
Yeah,
I don't have a lot
how
of
do you
different
cook
fish.
all these different types of fish in one day? Like cooking a lobster is such an intensive thing compared to cooking a fucking whatever sea bass or whatever the hell this. I'm looking at a plate right now, and it looks. There's fucking clams, there's caviar, there's lobster, there's crab, there's some big trout or something like that in the middle of the table. Man, that's exhausting. Cook all that stuff at once.
Yeah, I mean it can be, but that's big holiday meal.
That's
So
good.
Feast of the Seven Fishes.
Oh.
You make a
Wish I was Italian.
seafood fradivola. There's a lot of different ways you can go. So, and then that dish alone, you can knock off 4 or 5. You get the shrimp, the mussels, the scallops. The scungili. You do a little scungili. You into the scungili, Rich?
I don't think I've ever had. I've never had the pleasure. I don't think so.
So
What I don't even know what that is. What is skinjuli?
Say it again.
Skinjuli, is that how you say it?
Scungili.
Skinjuli. Yeah, I'm not going to say it with the
It's just it's similar to calamari or squid or something like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's like a conch,
Yeah.
But again, that's the kind of thing you have. That could eat up one of your 7 fishes if you're doing the Feast of the 7 Fishes. So, so some years I do that, but as you can see, it's a lot of work because you're preparing a bunch of different.
I would definitely just throw a ham in there, throw some fucking packet of glaze on it, and call it a day while you go watch. Because there's football on this Christmas Eve, right?
Christmas, yeah. It's COVID, so it's just kids. So I'm not going to make a feast of the 7 Fishes.
Yeah, they're not going to care about the fucking mussels and squid that you have at the table. Yeah,
you try to get a 4-year-old to eat scungili. I mean, good luck with that.
What did they get? Mac and cheese. They'll eat the ham though, right? They'll take down some ham.
The girl will eat the ham. The boy is gonna have peanut butter and jelly.
Fantastic. Have peanut butter and jelly. So is that all? Is he like a mac and cheese, chicken fingers, nuggets? He's just peanut butter and jelly.
No, he's in that phase where all he will eat is peanut butter. He eats peanut butter and jelly for 90%. Well, breakfast he'll eat different things. Like he'll eat cereal or muffins or Pop-Tarts or whatever. But the other 2 meals, 90% of them,
God,
peanut butter and jelly. Yeah. He calls it a sandwich.
Okay. So he thinks every sandwich is a peanut butter and jelly now.
So I'll say, what do you want for lunch? Sandwich. Sandwich. Like you had that for lunch. He doesn't care. That's what he wants. And he won't eat anything else. I made him fish sticks tonight. Classic child cuisine.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Every kid likes fish sticks.
Didn't take a bite. Not a single bite. What?
Did he declare his unhappiness with it, or did he just like not even touch it?
I disappeared from the table. We're like, where'd he go? He's just gone.
He's on a hunger strike. He's on a hunger strike. I love it.
We're like, you didn't eat your dinner. Like, what do you? Eventually we got him to eat some yogurt and a banana.
Okay. Oh, hell, there you go. Yeah.
Because he had to eat something, right? But he wouldn't eat the fit. Like he wanted peanut butter jelly. I was like, you've had it like 7 straight meals. We got to mix this up. So I got him to eat he'll eat yogurt and fruit. But that's breakfast stuff. But sometimes for dinner, to avoid more jelly so he doesn't get diabetes, all the sugar, sometimes I'll just give him a plate of fruit. I'll give him a plate full of blueberries and bananas and yogurt. And he'd rather eat that. He won't eat meat. Bizarre.
So I just love the idea. I love the idea of you doing the Feast of the 7 Fishes and then also making this kid a peanut butter and jelly. That'd be incredible. Yeah, you're spending all this time, making all this shit, and then slapping down some. Are we talking just straight grape jelly? Like, because I'm a peanut butter and jelly fan. I won't lie. One of my favorite foods to have at lunch at work when I'm just kind of like don't really feel like doing anything. But straight grape jelly, or do we have fun like interesting jellies, or does he just like it pretty normal?
Allow grape jelly in the house.
So what's he at? What does he got then? Apricot, poisonberry,
strawberry. But I won't allow grape jelly in the house.
Well, you're a good father. Yeah, no kid should have to only know. Yeah, there's people I know that are just like because I never have grape jelly either. I always have just some. What I'll do is I'll go in the aisle and find like a jelly that I've never heard of or never had before, and that's like my jelly then that I'll have. And people are always like, "Oh, no grape? What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Why would I eat grape jelly? I'm an adult with a job. Like, why would I do that?"
Grape jelly's for pores, to be honest.
I have a job, man. I'm gonna eat this apricot jelly. Like, come on.
I love how we bring up Feast of the Seven Fishes, and you know who pops up in the chat room? Vinny Massaro.
Oh my God, there he is. Yes.
Yep, there he is.
You think he eats a pizza on Christmas Day?
You never know who's listening. As soon as we talk about
Vinny
the Feast of the
Massaro,
Seven Fishes, Vinny Massaro pops up in the chat room.
I thought he'd be busy today, but I guess not. So
he pops up to declare that he hates bacala. So there you go. That's another Italian fish.
What's bacala? Yeah.
Well, you're not a Sopranos watcher. There was Bobby Bacala. It's a character in The Sopranos. Okay. Bobby Bacala was named after the Italian fish, bacala. So, like he's a fish. He's a mutt. Like he's a dummy. He's Bobby Bacala.
Got it. Okay.
His last name's Baglieri.
Is it like a shitty? Is it like a shitty fish? Like what type of fish is it?
Yeah, like a shitty. No one really likes bacala. It's like just traditional, So. They call him Bobby Bacala because his name's Baglieri, and he's like kind of a dope. So now he's Bobby Bacala. But anyway, Vinny Massaro pops in the chat room to declare, I hate Bacala. So there you go.
I wish we had time for him to call in. I would love to talk to Vinny Massaro on this night about
Feast of the Seven Fishes.
Yes. Now that I've learned about this, an Italian has entered the chat, and now I'm interested in talking. Comes out of nowhere. Was he listening the whole night and just waiting for that discussion?
That's what piqued his interest. So,
I got Gerard de Trolio. Oh my God, it's a takeover now. He got fucking.
Here come the Italians. Here they come.
The hell? Jesus.
Now the Trolio's in there. He likes the bacala.
Oh,
see?
It's cod. Oh yeah, cod kind of stinks. Cod's like when you have nothing better, you go to cod. Yeah, that's.
Listen, he taught the world how to eat. What can I say?
You did. I loved it. When I went to Italy, I gained at least 30 pounds. I think just in a week. Like you could see the progression of when we arrived in Rome. And then we went to Rome and then Florence and then the Amalfi Coast or whatever. And you could see as the pictures are going on that Michelle and I are getting fatter and fatter every single day. By the final day, we don't even look like the same human beings because we're just eating constantly. Because how do you not? The city is especially in Rome. Like you'd walk a block and this amazing smell would come and you'd be like, I need to have whatever that is. And you'd sit down and you'd eat. And they'd fill you with bread and fill you with wine and fill you with gelato. You move on to the next thing. Here's more food. Like we ate like 4 or 5 meals a day. It was ridiculous, but God, it was great. So thank you guys for doing that. So
yeah. The one Italian thing that I won't touch it is the dandelion salad. I can't eat that. That's going too far. Maybe that'll blow up the chat too. But basically you're eating weeds. How can you eat that shit?
I will say there was the salads were a problem in Italy. I did not like the salads at all. So,
see, I think dandelion salad, Italian American thing, because I think it's one of those meals that the immigrants ate when they were poor.
Well,
why else would you eat that?
They were pretty heavy on the arugula. I think they were pretty heavy on when we were in Italy. A lot they called it rocket salad there. Every time we were there, I don't know if that was actually the true name or just like the translated name, but it was like a lot of arugula. It's a step up over dandelion salad, but like not much step up. It was pretty bad.
There's pasta fazool, which is just bean soup.
Yes,
but again, I think that's an Italian American creation. I think that was immigrants. All they could afford was beans. They did the best they could. I think you eat that shit in Italy. Like I don't like in Italy. You know what I mean? I think that's like. I did
not see any bean soup when I was there. I will tell you that. Yeah, not that I was looking for it on the menu, but I did not see any bean soup when I was there.
Yeah, so you go to an Italian restaurant, there's a lot of items on the menu that aren't really authentic Italian meals. They're more Italian American.
Right. It's like, well, you go to a Chinese place and like 90% of what's on your Chinese restaurant menu is just like fucking American made, Hey, it's chicken and we deep fried it and we put some sauce on it. There you go, you asshole,
It's like my grandmother, she would eat chicken feet, because they were poor and she grew up on them and she kept eating them as an adult. And all my, my father and my aunts and uncles would always tell her, they're like, Ma, what are you eating chicken?
we have jobs. We can pay for real food.
You're not desolate anymore. You can buy a fucking chicken breast. Like you don't have to eat the chicken feet. But she grew up on that because her parents were off the boat and didn't have any fucking money and they ate chicken feet. So because that's what the butcher had. That was the cheapest shit that the butcher had in 1920. So I think that kind of happens as well.
Yeah, I think I'm good on chicken feet. I don't think I'd ever.
It's just skin. Like there's no meat on it. Like I've I've obviously eaten it because I grew up around. It's just you're basically just the bones are real thin and brittle, and it's just skin. There's like no, it just tastes like chicken skin.
Sounds terrible.
She would make it in marinara sauce, so you're just eating chicken skin in marinara sauce. It's an awful
All right,
meal.
all right. You're winning me over a little bit, but I'm not going to try it anyway. So
Here's the thing about it: it's not gross, but why would you eat it?
Right. Yeah, the look of it is gross. If you just put it in a meal and didn't tell me what it was, I'd probably be fine with it. But
It
why
looks like
would
a fucking bird claw. Like,
yeah, it's pretty tough. It's a tough look.
Yeah,
it's like grape jelly. I have a job. I don't have to eat this shit anymore. So
exactly.
All right, so that is it for this show. Thank you, everybody, for your calls. Thank you, of course, for listening. You did not get a chance to bury Wonderful Christmas Time, but I think people know what a horrid song that is. Don't listen to it on Christmas. Don't listen to it on Christmas Eve. Don't subject your kids or your wife or your family to that horrible, horrible song. But any final thoughts before we bid adieu for a week for the holidays?
Oh, next week will be the big Wrestle Kingdom preview. So
yeah, get excited. It's one of our biggest shows of the year, every single year. More times than not. I mean, sometimes we'll jump in with like a topic or two, but for a lot of that, I mean, the past few years, it's been 3 hours previewing Wrestle Kingdom, and now they have 2 Wrestle Kingdom shows. So there's a good chance the entire show will just be a Wrestle Kingdom preview. So look out for that sometime next week. Obviously, with the holidays, it'll all be kind of tricky. I mean, we could do an on-air production meeting right now. I don't even know when New Year's is. It doesn't. I guess it really doesn't matter, to be honest. Like,
it's always just a week after Christmas, buddy. 7 straight
Thursday.
days.
Oh yeah, Thursday. All right. Well, we'll figure it out. We'll find a day. So
yeah.
Anyway, that is it for us. So have a Merry Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, Diwali, all the things that we talked about. 3 Kings Day, Boxing Day, have all that fun stuff. But anyway, that's it for us. So for Joe Lanza, I'm Rich Craich. We'll talk to you next time on the Voice of Wrestling Flagship Podcast. Take care.